Chapter 531. The aroma of the hot pot lingered in the cabin for a long time. The aroma fell into the noses of Zhang Wen and Yi Baiyu, making the two sniff. Han Fei glanced at the two of them. What? Do you want to eat it? Give me something to exchange for it. Zhang Wen seemed to have recovered from the shame and indignation, watching Han Fei and the others set up a barbecue in the cabin again. The sizzling sound of the barbecue and the tempting garlic and spicy smell made him say, "I've given you everything. There will be spiritual spring and spiritual fruits tomorrow. What else do you want?" Zhang Xuanyu grabbed a garlic prawn and took a bite. "We don't refuse good things. If others want to eat it, I won't give them a chance." Yi Baiyu said, "That's because they are poor." Zhang Xuanyu praised, "You're quite smart. You've recognized the nature of things." Han Fei said with a smile, "In fact, we are not the kind of people who are greedy for small profits. Let's talk about the dragon boat. Tell me where this dragon boat came from and who is controlling it." With that, Han Fei grabbed 2 large handfuls of garlic prawns and walked to the two of them. "Are my garlic prawns not delicious? Help us popularize the knowledge of dragon boat. Eat whatever is delicious. Ordinary people will never have such treatment." With that said, Han Fei stuffed a skewer of garlic prawns to each of them. Yi Baiyu grabbed it and immediately took a bite. As soon as he took a bite, his eyes lit up. He had never eaten such delicious food in his life. When he was in the Thousand-Star City, although he didn't have to worry about food and clothing, and there were countless delicious food, they were all original food. Who could have expected that as soon as it touched Han Fei's hand, the taste soared to the sky? It didn't taste like human food at all. Zhang Wen also took a bite. He felt that he had given up on himself and regretted more than once. If he had known that Han Fei and the others were so reckless, he would never have gone to kill Han Fei with Sun Mu and the others. In the end, when a mouthful of spicy lobster meat entered his stomach, he felt all his worries vanish in an instant. The two of them wolfed down the garlic prawns and finished them in a short while. After he finished eating, he found that Han Fei, Xia Xiaochan, and the others were looking at him with a smile. Han Fei grabbed another 7 or 8 garlic prawns, 2 spicy crab feet, and 2 plates of garlic clams. "What do you think? There's actually no conflict between us. As long as you don't hunt us down, we can still be good friends, right? Do you want more?" At this moment, the hexagon starfish was clinging to the barbecue rack. Of course, it didn't want to barbecue itself, but it also liked barbecue. At this moment, the hexagon starfish's 6 big eyes were rolling. It hadn't seen Han Fei so amiable for a long time. It was willing to bet that Han Fei was up to no good. Yi Baiyu stretched out his hand and said, "If you want to know about the dragon boats, you can ask Zhang Wen. He knows more about them than I do, because his family has a share of the dragon boat." F***CK. The others looked at each other in bewilderment. What the hell? Zhang Wenjia still has a share on the dragon boat? However, Zhang Wen kicked Yi Baiyu, gritted his teeth and said, "Yi Bai." Han Fei quickly stuffed all the things in his hand to Yi Baiyu, and then immediately looked at Zhang Wen and said, "Look, this is what a smart person should do. Look at you." Alas. "Brother, I don't mean to criticize you, but why are you so ignorant?" With that said, Han Fei grabbed a pile of barbecue from the barbecue rack and said, "Tell me if there is delicious food. If you don't tell me, I can beat you until you tell me." Lu Renkuang added, "If it were me, I'd just eat first and think about it later. In this world, only food can't be wasted." Zhang Wen now knew that Han Fei and the others didn't dare to kill him, but why did they ask about the dragon boats? He couldn't figure it out. Each dragon boat had hundreds of thousands of people, including countless peak-level dangling fishers and hanging fishers. Did these people dare to plot against the dragon boats? Definitely not. Zhang Wen admitted that they were very strong, but they were not strong enough to do whatever they wanted on the dragon boat. Even if they could disguise themselves and sneak onto the dragon boats, once they did anything out of line, they would inevitably be targeted immediately. If it were so easy to survive on the dragon boats, how could they survive in the level 3 fishery for so long? Thinking about this, Zhang Wen took the barbecue and then said, "It's useless to tell you. This is not a secret in the Thousand Star City. The dragon boats are super big boats jointly built by the major families and sects in the Thousand Star City. The Thousand Star City only cultivates strong people, and almost no one goes to the level 1 or level 2 fishery to gain experience, so the dragon boat resources in the level 3 fishery have become a major source of income for the Thousand Star City, accounting for more than 30% of the entire city's income." Han Fei's first reaction was, 30%? Since the people of the Thousand Star City don't work, where does the remaining 70% of income come from? Zhang Xuanyu grinned. "They are just enjoying the fruits of others' labor." Zhang Wen shook his head. "Enjoy the fruits of others' labor? You are not in the Thousand Star City, so you don't know the meaning of its existence. The people in the villages and towns just practice, fish, and harvest resources in the level 1, 2, and 3 fisheries. The danger you can understand is naturally only the fishery itself, but the Thousand Star City is not. There are villages and towns in the Thousand Star City. Otherwise, do you think you can live so peacefully every day?" "What do you mean?" Zhang Wen explained, "The unknown place. The remaining source of income of the Thousand Star City mostly comes from the unknown place, which accounts for at least 50% of the economic source. The remaining point is business and trade, which you don't understand." Han Fei and the others couldn't help looking at each other. The level 3 fishery and 100 dragon boats only accounted for 30% of the national economy of the Thousand Star City? Of course, Han Fei knew how much money a dragon boat would make every day. Just the most basic accommodation cost, if not 100 million, was at least 50 million. Not to mention the scale of the entire trading market of the dragon boat. That was too huge. Even if the trading market was not included, excluding the daily depreciation and other miscellaneous expenses of the dragon boats, 100 million yuan a day would be a net profit of 10 billion yuan, so 100 dragon boats would be 10 billion yuan. That only accounted for 30%. Perhaps the dragon boats were expensive to build, but they had been running for hundreds of years, so it was impossible to calculate the cost at all. Han Fei took a slight breath. "You mean the dragon boats are controlled by the big clans and sects?" Zhang Wen shook his head. "Not completely, just a part of it. The Thousand Star City has a population of hundreds of millions. If it is only controlled by the big clans and sects, what do ordinary people eat? In general, the sects account for about 30%, the big clans account for 20%, and the remaining 50% is used to subsidize the ordinary people in the Thousand Star City." Han Fei was stunned. "So, as long as you are in the Thousand Star City, even ordinary people can receive a monthly relief, is that what you mean?" "Relief?" Zhang Wen nodded. "This is a novel idea, but it's not relief, because most of the money is earned by those ordinary people. The Thousand Star City also has a special agency to do statistics, and according to the contribution of each household to the Thousand Star City, that relief will be distributed. The big clans account for 20%? How many big clans are there in the Thousand Star City?" Zhang Wen thought for a while. "Who knows? There was a rise and a fall, but usually, only the 10 strongest clans would be crowned with the title of Great Clan. As for the rest of the families that have fallen out of the top 10, there are hundreds of them." "So many?" Xia Xiaochan looked at Luo Xiaobai, who frowned slightly. "I'm not sure about this. I don't go out very much. But the top 10 big families control the economy." Han Fei thought for a moment and suddenly asked, "Since the dragon boats are so important, why are there only hanging fishers guarding the dragon boats?" Zhang Wen was speechless. "Aren't hanging fishers enough? Those above hanging fishers are not allowed to enter the level 3 fishery under many restrictions. There are occasional exceptions, but they can't do anything. The Thousand Star City would only send hidden fishers to guard the dragon boat." Strong masters above hidden fissures were enough to threaten the safety of all the dragon boat. Would you let a strong master of that level enter the level 3 fishery? Han Fei's first thought was, of course not. No matter how strong the dragon boats were, they were just huge, ordinary boat. In terms of materials alone, they were absolutely no match for the Wind God boat or the Ghost Speed Divine boat. Even a hanging fisher could wreak havoc on a dragon boat, let alone a powerhouse above the hidden fissure level. Han Fei asked, "How are the hanging fissures and hidden fissures selected?" Hearing Han Fei's question, Zhang Wen fell silent and swallowed the food. Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "It should be assigned by the big families and sects of the Thousand-Star City." Zhang Wen looked up at Luo Xiaobai. "You have no chance. The hanging fissures assigned here are at least peak level, and ordinary hanging fissures will not be sent here. The same is true for hidden fissures. At that level, they are already half a step away from becoming law enforcers. How can mere dangling fissures defeat them?" The next day, when the Wind God boat appeared more than 3,000 kilometers away from the dragon boats, the servants of the Zhang family and the Yi family came. At this moment, nearly 20 fishing boats of the two families landed opposite Han Fei. These people were not here to fight, but to prevent their young master from being eaten by Han Fei and the others. With the status of these two families, a mere 10,000 spiritual fruits or 100,000 caddies of spiritual spring would not hurt them at all. It was just that for a period of time, the prices of spiritual fruits and spiritual spring would inevitably soar. This was a market economy problem, which had nothing to do with Han Fei. After a while, Han Fei got the spiritual fruits and spiritual spring as he wished, and shouted to Zhang Wen and Yi Baiyu on the bow of the opposite boat, "Remember, don't do stupid things next time. If you dare to come again, if I catch you again, today's price will be 10 times higher. Think about it carefully." Zhang Wen snorted and left with his servants. This time, he had lost all his face. At the same time, he also realized his weakness. Revenge must be taken, but it was tantamount to dreaming to take revenge now. For the first time, he desperately wanted to improve himself. I feel something is wrong. Young master, what's wrong with you?" Zhang Wen rubbed his belly, full of doubts. "Nothing." Yi Baiyu only felt that this time he was completely careless. He didn't expect that Luo Xiaobai turned out to be from a divine manipulator family. Otherwise, he wouldn't even participate in the battle. Gulp. Gulp. After letting these two people go, Han Fei and the others immediately controlled the Wind God boat and ran away. Less than 10 minutes after Han Fei and the others left, Zhang Wen and Yi Baiyu's faces changed drastically. Zhang Wen's whole face turned red. "Damn it, when did he poison us?" Yi Baiyu gritted his teeth and clutched his stomach. "Han Fei, damn you!" Han Fei ran away quickly and was laughing. Lu Renquang asked, "How much poison did you put?" Han Fei grinned. "1 drop per person. If I put too much, I will be exposed. However, 1 drop is enough for them." Zhang Xuanyu put his arm around Han Fei's shoulder. "Amazing, amazing, is this Poison King really so powerful?" Han Fei nodded. "Of course. Fortunately, we escaped quickly. Otherwise, I guess they would have come again." Although it seemed that no one came to provoke him now. If the other party was well prepared, it was hard to say whether they could win again by luck. This time, the reason why they could win was not because of Han Fei, but because those people underestimated Han Fei's teammates too much. Whether it was Lu Renquang's sky-swallowing technique or Zhang Xuanyu's triple original body, they were beyond everyone's expectations. As for Luo Xiaobai, not to mention others, even Han Fei and the others were stunned. Somewhere on the sea 10,000 miles away from the dragon boat, Han Fei and the others changed to a more normal fishing boat. In the cabin, the 5 of them sat cross-legged together. A hill of sea-swallowing seashells was piled on the ground. The 5 of them stared at each other, not knowing what to do with these sea-swallowing seashells. Lu Renquang asked stupidly, "How much money is here?" Han Fei thought for a long time. "I don't know. Anyway, it seems that we can't spend it all. Originally, Han Fei still had some idea about the sea-swallowing seashells he had. Even if he robbed Zhangwen, Yi Baiyu, and the 6 sex sea-swallowing seashells, he could still make it. However, after all, Han Fei had been away for more than 2 months. During this period, Xia Xiaochan and the others hadn't been idle. When they were in the steps into the sea, he gave her 51 treasure maps, which had basically been explored. Most of them were actually empty, and only less than 20 of them had been found, but the harvest was not small. Besides, Xia Xiaochan and the others had robbed hundreds of sea-swallowing seashells one after another, so they had too much money now. Zhang Xuanyu said, "All I can think of is to change my equipment. Then, keep some for later use. As for the rest, I don't know what to do." Xia Xiaochan was also confused. Before, she had no money to spend, but now she had money but didn't know how to spend it. Luo Xiaobai analyzed with difficulty. First of all, as Zhang Xuanyu said, it's best to change a few sets of weapons and armor first. It's best if they are ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Han Fei nodded. "Let me do this. How many sets can I make for you?" Lu Renkuang asked weakly. "About 10 sets? Bam!" Han Fei kicked him. "Do you want so much to eat?" Lu Renkuang scratched his belly. "Otherwise, it'll be a waste if I can't use it." Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "That's not necessary. 2 sets per person is enough. After all, we can't completely rely on weapons and armor. Otherwise, how can we get the experience we deserve? Secondly, I think we can cultivate in seclusion for a while. Before, there weren't so many resources for us to cultivate, but now..." Xia Xiaochan asked, "Do you want to cultivate while looking for the specter?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "No, the things in the seaborne prairie are far from over. Many people are still venturing into the seaborne prairie. Especially after many people think that I have obtained a sea-quelling bizarre treasure, more people will think that there are still big secrets in the seaborne prairie." Han Fei asked, "Then are there any more?" Luo Xiaobai shrugged. "There should be, but it's definitely not a sea-quelling bizarre treasure. An ordinary treasures." Luo Xiaobai pointed at the hill-like sea-swallowing seashells and thought to herself, "Isn't this enough?" There had never been a day when everyone felt that they would become so rich. Han Fei sighed. "Okay. Then let's cultivate for a while and wait for the specter to appear." Han Fei was very sure that the specter would definitely appear. 2 more dragon boats had gathered in the seaborne prairie, and a 3rd or even a 4th might come soon. Whether or not there were treasures in the seaborne prairie, the killing between people here would certainly last a long time. By then, there would be a large number of resources to be sold. By then, there was no reason why the specter wouldn't appear. Half a month later, Lu Renkuang had just stabilized his realm as an advanced dangling fisher, and Zhang Xuanyu hadn't made a breakthrough yet, but he had learned the spiritual pearl shield. Han Fei built 2 ultra-quality battle suits and weapons for each of them. However, Lu Renkuang was an armorist who liked weapons very much. Anyway, after much coaxing and pestering, Han Fei built 8 ultra-quality spiritual weapons for him. Han Fei had made up his mind that all the credit Lu Renkuang had made so far would be offset by the ultra-quality spiritual weapons he wanted. Then, Han Fei attached souls to the 99 blue sea wandering dragon daggers, which were all mess-swallowing worms. Then, he attached 2 big turtles to the water-dividing seal and the whetstone. He also found a single-horned shark and attached its soul to the blood-drinking knife. After all, it was almost impossible to find so many exotic creatures to attach their souls to in such a short time. Attaching souls to spiritual weapons was nothing more than to make the spiritual weapons more agile and have an additional effect. In the past, when a low-quality spiritual weapon was attached to a mess-swallowing worm, its speed was doubled. But now, after attaching souls to ultra-quality spiritual weapons, the speed was only 30% faster. Although it was only 30% faster, Han Fei still felt satisfied. The ultra-quality spiritual weapon itself was already terrifying enough. If its speed was increased by 30%, it would almost reach the peak of what he could achieve now. Han Fei made a calculation. Now, the total number of items in the hands of the 5 people was so high that Han Fei's head was about to explode. The rough list was as follows. There were 146 superior-grade spiritual weapons and 44 superior-grade battlesuit. 1,502 mid-quality spiritual weapons, 320 mid-quality battlesuit. 1,000 ultra-quality pearls. 300,000 high-quality pearls. 1 billion mid-quality pearls. There were 13,265 flash stones in total. 3,608 high-quality materials. There were a total of 966 combat skills books, and he had picked out all that he could use. And there were 13,068 spiritual fruits, and more than 90,000 caddies of spiritual spring left. Han Fei didn't have to worry about where the spiritual energy came from at all. Now he was rich, the kind that was inhumane. Ha ha ha! Just when Han Fei was holding his chin and feeling hopeless, weird laughter suddenly sounded from the bottom of the sea and over the sea. Han Fei immediately shivered. Oh, it's coming. Han Fei shivered and hurriedly shouted, "Come on, the specter is coming. Let's board the ship quickly." Xia Xiaochan was the first to rush over. What? It finally appeared. Do we have something to spend our money on? Lu Renkuang asked. Didn't you say that there was nothing good on the specter? Luo Xiaobai wondered. The question is the specter so trustworthy? We have too many resources on us right now. What if the specter ship is tempted? Han Fei thought for a moment. Well, you 2 little girls stay outside. If we don't come out in a day, you can leave. No. Xia Xiaochan said reluctantly. I want to go too. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Together. We can come out together. Luo Xiaobai suddenly took out an ancient jade and said, Let's go up first. When the time comes, it depends on the situation on the specter as to how to use these resources. Seeing Luo Xiaobai take out the ancient jade, everyone grinned. Luo Xiaobai had completely revealed her identity. Her identity was completely revealed, and her status was probably no less than that of the children of the big clans, or even higher. Let's go. Let's go by. Chapter 532. On the surface of the sea, the sound waves reverberated far away. The 5 of them controlled the wind god boat and went straight to the ghost ship. After traveling for less than 2,000 miles, they saw an incomparably huge black ship. At this moment, the specter ship had not completely launched its attack yet. Most of its body was still underwater and was slowly emerging. The seawater on both sides of the ship flowed down from the sky like a waterfall. Lu Renkuang even exclaimed, "Colorful divine light. What did I see? That's the colorful divine light, isn't it?" Han Fei was stunned for a long time. Why does this term sound so familiar? Then, Zhang Xuanyu said, Legend has it that the rainbow divine light is the bridge to the sea god, but no one has ever succeeded. Pooh! Han Fei suddenly remembered what He Xiaoyu told him before. Previously, he showed He Xiaoyu how to make a rainbow. Then, He Xiaoyu was shocked and said that it was the colorful divine light. At this moment, seeing the surprised faces of Lu Renkuang and Zhang Xuanyu, Han Fei said angrily, Shut up, both of you. That's called a rainbow. It's just the most common natural phenomenon. Xia Xiaochan asked curiously, What is a rainbow? Han Fei said uninterestedly, That's the light reflected from a certain angle when sunlight shines into the mist. There are 7 colors in total. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. If you take a closer look, you'll find that there are more than just these colors. Xia Xiaochan's eyes flickered and she looked at the rainbow, a little confused. Was it really like what Han Fei said? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity? But soon, everyone's eyes shifted from rainbow to the specter ship. Is this specter ship? Zhang Xuanyu swallowed. Han Fei, is this the specter you asked me to find? Why is it so similar to the specter ship in the abyssal chasm? Lu Renkuang clicked his tongue and said, "It seems a bit shabby." Han Fei said with a smile, "This must be an abandoned dragon boat. Who modified it? I don't know what method was used to make this ship run on the bottom of the sea." Luo Xiaobai asked, "Huh? Why is this boat raising its flag?" Han Fei smiled. "Isn't that?" Shoot, Han Fei was smiling a second ago, but the next second, he looked awful. What did he see? How did the pirate pattern that he had casually drawn on the ghost ship become the flag of the ghost ship? Luo Xiaobai asked, "Han Fei, what's wrong?" Han Fei coughed quickly. "Nothing. I just remembered someone." Han Fei couldn't help but become serious. Who was the person he met on the specter ship that time? Back then, he had even given her a scroll. He was too embarrassed to throw it away in front of him, so he still threw it in Forge the Universe. Han Fei couldn't help but search in Forge the Universe. Sure enough, he found the scroll in the mud pit next to the big red trunk. Han Fei couldn't help but roll it up and move it to a conspicuous place. Back then, if that person had the ability to directly change the flag of the specter ship, it would probably not have been something simple. Han Fei didn't know what to say. If he hadn't seen the specter ship, he would have forgotten about it. Shadows appeared in all directions. They were fishing boats nearby, and they were coming after hearing the noise. When Han Fei and the others landed on the boat, the water under their feet was sizzling, crabs were passing through the deck, and small squid babies were crawling on the deck. Seeing Han Fei and the others, they spurted out a bunch of ink with a puff. Gotcha! When Lu Renkuang jumped off the boat, he seemed to have used too much force and accidentally stepped on a piece of wood on the deck, leaving a hole. Lu Renkuang was shocked. Is this ship really as good as you said?" Han Fei said, "Let's go in." Han Fei picked up a black robe from the corner of the deck, and then picked up a faceless mask from the wall outside the cabin. After putting it on, he said, "Put it on. Let's go in." After a while, the five of them stood at the door, knocked, and paid a batch of mid-quality pearls. Then Han Fei entered the dark and damp place with the specter again. Xia Shaochan said, "There's the sound of water, very loud." Han Fei said, "The middle part is hollow and seems to be directly connected to the bottom of the sea. I don't know how this thing works." Zhang Xuanyu looked around and said, "There's no one here." Just after Zhang Xuanyu said this, someone said to the five of them via voice transmission, "Hey, friends, are you here to sell things or buy things? Can you consider me? I have all kinds of spiritual weapons, spiritual fruits, spiritual pills, and miraculous medicines." Lu Renkuang asked curiously, "Are we going to trade like this? That's too casual." Han Fei patted him. "There's a trade hall." With that, Han Fei said to the man, "Brother, wait for the next wave. There are a lot of people behind." Seeing that Han Fei was quite familiar with the specter, the man didn't speak anymore but quietly leaned against the railing. Along the way, they saw faceless men setting up stalls everywhere, and mid-quality spiritual energy, spiritual fruits, and so on were placed casually on the ground. They even saw several faceless men with superior-grade spiritual weapons on the ground for sale. Xia Shaochan said, "I saw a pair of daggers." Han Fei was speechless. High-quality spiritual daggers. You can buy them and eat them. The faceless man who set up the stall was speechless. Who the hell is this guy? So what if it's a high-grade dagger? What's wrong with it? This is the top weapon in the level 3 fishery, okay? Han Fei led them to a random trading hall. This dragon boat had just emerged from the water, and there weren't many people here yet, but Han Fei still saw more than a dozen people who were faster than him and had already started to trade. As soon as they entered the trading hall, Xia Shaochan and the others were speechless. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Fei, "Are you sure there are good things here?" Xia Shaochan said, "Look at the wall, there are a lot of sale notices hanging on it." Luo Xiaobai said, "Let's wait and see. Since Han Fei has been here, let's see how he trades first." Han Fei went straight to the faceless man's staff and said directly, "I want to sell something." Immediately, the faceless man got up and said, "Please come this way." The faceless man led Han Fei to the table to talk face to face, but Han Fei said, "I want to sell a lot of things." The staff said lightly, "Only things worth more than 100 million can go to the exclusive negotiation hall. Are you sure you can make such a large transaction?" Han Fei said lightly, "Lead the way." The faceless man paused and nodded slightly, but he still reminded Han Fei, "Sir, please make sure that the transaction volume is enough. Otherwise, you will have to pay at least 10 million mid-quality pearls to compensate the owner for the loss of time." Han Fei. At that time, Han Fei was shocked. Time loss compensation? 10 million mid-quality pearls? Are you kidding me? Han Fei thought for a while and said, "Okay. The 4 of them will come with me." The faceless man hesitated for a moment and then nodded. "Please come with me." Han Fei and the others entered from a side door of the trading hall and then passed through 3 barriers in a row. Each door was painted with a pirate pattern that he had drawn casually. Han Fei couldn't help asking, "When did the pattern on your door change?" The faceless man said calmly, "It was changed a few months ago." Han Fei asked, "Who changed it?" "Sir, your question is beyond my ability to answer." Han Fei curled his lips, but no one would see it. At this moment, they walked into a tunnel, which was different from the secret passage that Han Fei took before. This tunnel was like a gloomy corridor. The sides of the corridor were quite dry, so the humidity was not so heavy. Lu Renquang asked, "Why do I always feel that something is wrong?" The hexagon starfish on Lu Renquang's shoulder said, "There are no barriers. I'm very sure." In this strange environment, they didn't really believe it. Even Han Fei didn't believe it. If he hadn't seen the pirate flag hanging on the ghost ship, he wouldn't have dared to follow the faceless man in. Creak. When a door opened, the faceless man said, "Sir, please come in." As Han Fei and the others entered, the wooden door behind them was closed with a creak. To be honest, Han Fei was not afraid. In fact, if something similar happened on the dragon boat, even if Luo Xiaobai's trump card was useless, he still had the sky dissecting finger. Although it seemed a bit wasteful to use the sky dissecting finger here, Han Fei didn't mind using it to save his life. In the gloomy darkness, a fire lit up. In fact, there was no need for the fire at all. Han Fei and the others saw that in this huge room, there were all kinds of treasures placed on the 4 walls. Xia Shaochan said, "An ultra-quality dagger." Zhang Xian secretly exclaimed, "A heaven-level high-quality combat skill." Lu Renquang exclaimed, "Oh my god, an armorist's secret technique." Even without their reminder, Han Fei also saw that the room was full of all kinds of good things. The weapons were all ultra-quality, the battle suits were ultra-quality, the spiritual fruits all had protective barriers, and the combat skills were at least demon-level, mid-quality, and many of them were heaven-level. In addition, Han Fei also saw things like amulets and some alien creatures that he had never seen before. Of course, these were not important. In the very center of the room was a small round pool. In the center of the pool, there was a beautiful mermaid with a graceful figure, holding a clam in her hand, and the clam was spitting water out of its mouth. When he saw the mermaid, Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. F*CKU. Really? Han Fei thought it was just a statue, but information appeared in his eyes. Name Mermaid Introduction: a sea demon with sound intelligence, the opposite race of human beings, good at mermaid combat skills. Because of the different combat skills they practice, their combat characteristics are different and can't be explained. Status dead. Everyone's eyes were attracted by the dead mermaid at this moment. Han Fei even leaned forward to take a look, only to find that this mermaid was actually not beautiful. Although she had a complete human face, there was a fierce look on her face. Besides, her bones were a little protruding, and she was a little less gentle than normal women. Xia Shaochan asked, "Is this an inferior manfish?" Han Fei pondered and said, Definitely not. An inferior manfish must be an ordinary fish. This mermaid has completely evolved. Except for the fact that she doesn't have legs, she is not much different from a human being. Xia Xiaochan stared at her for a long time and said slowly, "If the bones on her face weren't so protruding, I'm afraid she would be quite beautiful." Lu Renkuang's eyes widened. "Is this a mermaid?" Zhang Xuanyu swallowed. "Can I catch this as my spiritual beast?" Everyone. Han Fei really wanted to kick Zhang Xuanyu away. "You want to catch a mermaid as your spiritual beast? What are you trying to do?" Creak. A slightly hoarse voice said, "Young man, you are too impatient. You just saw a mermaid and you want to catch her as your spiritual beast? Then if you see a real mermaid, won't you become a member of the Sea Clan?" Everyone quickly looked back, only to see a tall, faceless man leaning against the door frame, watching this scene quietly. Han Fei frowned. When did this man come in? Han Fei smiled and said, "Are you a senior trader on the dragon boat?" The man chuckled and said, "Haven't you seen me before?" Guess. Han Fei's face suddenly changed. "Are you the person from that day?" The faceless man chuckled. "Young man, you have a good memory. What do you think of the flag of the dragon boat? Isn't it awesome?" Han Fei bared his teeth. "You plagiarized my idea." The faceless man said, "Young man, don't talk nonsense. How can I plagiarize your idea? Didn't I pay you back?" Han Fei frowned. That scroll? However, he hadn't used that scroll yet. He used to think it was a piece of garbage. Only now did he realize that this thing might really be a life-saving item. Han Fei changed the topic. "I scribbled something casually. I don't think I can exchange it for that thing, can I?" The faceless man smiled. "I was in a good mood that day, so I threw something to you casually. What's the harm?" Then the faceless man raised his hands. "I heard that you are going to make a large transaction? Young man, if the transaction is less than 100 million yuan, you will be fined." Han Fei frowned. "What do you want to trade? We don't need the things in this room." The faceless man chuckled. "It seems that you came prepared. It seems that you robbed a lot in the steps into the sea and the seaborne grassland. You must have some money. In that case, I'll give you a few options to choose from." Luo Xiaobai asked Han Fei, "How does he know about us?" Han Fei replied, "I forgot to tell you, the intelligence of the specter is terrifying. I don't know where they got the intelligence at all. I guess our identities have been exposed as soon as we came in. Then why are we still here? I recognized it last time. It's okay. This specter is much more trustworthy than the dragon boat." The faceless man laughed again. "Yes, the specter is certainly more trustworthy than the dragon boat. The dragon boat is just a tool for the big clans in the Thousand-Star City to seize benefits from the level 3 fishery. If you have no identity or status, who will catch you if you don't show off on the dragon boat?" Hiss! Xia Xiaochan subconsciously held the dagger. Lu Renkuang's face twitched. "He can hear our voice transmission." The faceless man chuckled. "So what if he can hear your voice transmission? As long as your soul power is strong enough, you can hear other people's voice transmission. Okay, do you want to hear what I listed for you?" Han Fei nodded. "What is it?" The faceless man walked over to the mermaid pond, and Han Fei and the others quickly took a few steps back. As the faceless man gently patted the mermaid, the sea clam in the mermaid's hand no longer flowed out ordinary seawater, but a stream of green liquid. Spirit awakening fluid? Han Fei and the others couldn't help but exclaim, "Is there anyone selling spirit awakening fluid on this specter?" The faceless man chuckled. "Yes, spirit awakening fluid. You have all used this thing. But do you know the real value of spirit awakening fluid?" Han Fei was stunned. "Isn't spirit awakening fluid used for spiritual awakening? Does it have any other value?" Lu Renkuang nodded. "We have all used this thing. There seems to be nothing special about it." The faceless man sneered. "Nothing special? Do you know how much spirit awakening fluid is used in a town every year?" Han Fei asked, "How much?" The faceless man said, "A town has 8 villages under its jurisdiction. Among them, the town uses about 10,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid every year, and the 8 villages add up to no more than 5,000 caddies. Whoever has more spirit awakening fluid has to fight with their lives. Now, do you still think spirit awakening fluid is ordinary? The 8 villages only have 5,000 caddies in total?" Han Fei couldn't help but be stunned. He didn't feel it at the beginning. He only knew that spirit awakening fluid came out of the pool, but he didn't know how much came out. Anyway, the whole pool turned green. Xia Xiaochan asked, "What's the use of spirit awakening fluid?" The faceless man said slowly, "Ordinary people won't improve their strength so fast, but some geniuses can improve their strength so fast that they can even cross several realms in a year. Do you know what the direct result of this is?" "What result?" The faceless man scooped a little spirit awakening fluid with his hand, stared at it for a while, and said, "The most direct result is that the growth rate of spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts can't keep up with the growth rate of their masters at all." "Wow!" Han Fei said in shock. "You mean, spirit awakening fluid can make spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts grow faster?" Xia Xiaochan asked, "How fast can it be?" Luo Xiaobai asked, "Why don't I know?" The faceless man sneered. "You haven't been to the unknown place, so of course you don't know. In the level 1, level 2 fishery, what matters is experience, not spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts." Then the faceless man said, "As for how fast, of course, the lower the level, the faster the improvement, and the higher the level, the slower the improvement. If it's fast, it can take 1 or 2 days, and if it's slow, it can take 10 days to half a month. If your spiritual beasts or contractual spiritual beasts haven't been improved for a long time, it's normal for them to make a breakthrough on the same day. Besides, if they reach level 39, spirit awakening fluid can even help them complete the last step and enter level 40. "Wow!" Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise, "So fast? How is it possible?" Lu Renquang asked, "Then won't we be invincible after soaking in spirit awakening fluid?" "Humph!" The faceless man sneered. "Do you think spirit awakening fluid will be cheap? 300,000 mid-quality pearls per caddy, no bargaining." "How much?" Han Fei's eyes widened. "A caddy of spirit awakening fluid is more expensive than a mid-quality spiritual weapon? The price of a mid-quality spiritual weapon on a dragon boat might reach 400,000 to 600,000 mid-quality pearls. On a ghost boat it was about 200,000 to 300,000. The middle-aged man said lightly, "In addition to the growth of spiritual beasts and contractual spiritual beasts, spirit awakening fluid can also be absorbed by people. As long as you absorb enough, you can even improve your spiritual heritage, increase your soul power, and strengthen your physique. There are many benefits. You can explore them slowly." Han Fei and the others looked at each other. It was the first time that they had learned that spirit awakening fluid had such benefits. Han Fei immediately asked, "How much spirit awakening fluid does it take to upgrade a level 30 spiritual beast?" The middle-aged man smiled and said, "A few dozen caddies, or even less." Luo Xiaobai asked, "What about level 39? The middle-aged man pondered for a moment. "It may be hundreds or even thousands of caddies." Han Fei was tempted. He couldn't help but be tempted. He couldn't go to the Soul Ocean at all, so he couldn't quickly upgrade Little Black and Little White's levels. Han Fei believed that if Little Black was upgraded to level 39 or level 40, he could eat all the spiritual beasts in the level 3 fishery. 300,000 per caddy, then if I buy 10,000 caddies, it will be 3 billion? Han Fei didn't know what to say. When he boarded the Spectre, he felt that the total value of the 5 of them was quite high. But now it seemed that they couldn't even afford 10,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. Han Fei resisted the impulse and continued to ask, "Is there anything else you recommend?" The faceless man chuckled. Yes. Do you want soul crystals? 400,000 mid-quality pearls each. Cheap, right? Puff. Xia Shaochan immediately said, we only spent 30,000 on the steps into the sea. The faceless man laughed. The problem is that the steps into the sea don't produce soul crystals anymore because of you. Besides, you cheated them out of buying them, didn't you? Ordinary people don't know about soul crystals, so they are greedy for money. The price on the Spectre is 400,000 per piece. Han Fei had a hunch that he was going to go bankrupt. When the faceless man mentioned soul crystals, Han Fei knew that he would definitely buy them. Not to mention how many Xia Shaochan and the others needed, he would probably have to buy hundreds of them. Now his spiritual power had just broken through 1,001 points, which meant that it could continue to grow. If he relied on his own cultivation, it would be too slow. So Han Fei certainly wouldn't let go of the soul crystals. However, Han Fei asked again, is there anything else? The faceless man let out a weird laugh. Yes. There are also the immortal seal of a peak-level hanging fisher and the peak-level blow of a junior hidden fisher. The price is not expensive, 100 million mid-quality pearls each. Wow! Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, immortal seal? The kind of immortal seal on the children of the big clans in the 1,000-star city? Lu Renquang exclaimed, oh my god! Can this also be sold? Xia Xiaochan's eyes lit up. The children of the big clans in the 1,000-star city dominated the level 3 fishery with this. She didn't expect that this could also be sold. The faceless man smiled and said, as long as you want, the things that the Spectre can provide will always be beyond your expectations. So, how are you going to buy it? Luo Xiaobai asked doubtfully. The immortal seal is a kind of restriction that a strong master placed in my body. Even if you can arrange it, how can we trust you? The faceless man smiled and said, who says that the immortal seal must be arranged in the body? This thing, like the amulet, can also be sealed as long as necessary. When you use it, you just need to crush it and the same effect will be achieved. The reason why the big clans arranged it in the bodies of their juniors is that they don't want their juniors to use it on their own initiative. Han Fei asked, why is the immortal seal of a peak-level hanging fisher and the peak-level blow of a junior hidden fisher the same price? And this so-called peak-level blow, is it the full-strength blow of a junior hidden fisher? The faceless man nodded. You're right. The reason why it is the same price is that the immortal seal can withstand multiple attacks. And even if you are beaten to death, it will save you once. And the peak-level blow of a junior hidden fisher seems powerful, but it may not be able to kill a peak-level hanging fisher. Han Fei and the others looked at each other, and they became more and more curious about the person in front of them. These things couldn't even be bought with money. But the Spectre was for sale. Xia Shaochan suddenly said, is there a sea-quelling bizarre treasure? The faceless man glanced at Xia Shaochan. Little girl, you think too much. If there really is a sea-quelling bizarre treasure, do you think you can afford it? Not to mention a sea-quelling bizarre treasure, you may not even be able to afford a divine weapon. Luo Xiaobai asked, is there a divine weapon for sale? The faceless man smiled and said, yes. One-time consumable divine weapons, the price is about 200 million to 300 million. Multi-time consumable divine weapons, according to the number of times, the price is at least more than 500 million. Commonly used low-grade divine weapons cost at least 1 billion. Generally, yours sells for 2 billion. Do you want to see it? Han Fei waved his hand again and again. No, I don't want to see it. Han Fei was speechless. What the F***ck do I want to see? I only have 1 billion mid-quality pearls on me. If I buy a divine weapon, I'll lose all of them. Han Fei said, we need to discuss for a moment. The faceless man smiled and said, go ahead, but don't keep me waiting. Seeing that the faceless man didn't intend to leave, Han Fei asked Master Hexagon to set up a soundproof array. In the array, Han Fei asked, Master Hexagon, can he hear me? The hexagon starfish's big eyes kept rolling. I don't know. I don't know if this person is powerful or not. Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. Even if he can hear me, there's nothing we can do. He has already said the price. All we can discuss now is how much to buy. Lu Renquang nodded. We have to buy the immortal seal. It's like a second life. If we don't buy it, won't we suffer a loss? Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. I have it. You can buy it for self-defense. Everyone was speechless. The children of big clans were really different. These things were all free. Zhang Xuanyu complained, Old Bai is too stingy, isn't he? Why can't he give each of us an immortal seal? Lu Renquang and Xia Shaochan nodded, feeling that Old Bai must have a lot of good things that he didn't give them. Xia Shaochan looked at Han Fei. How do you think we should buy it? Han Fei thought for a moment. 4 immortal seals and a peak strike, just in case. Zhang Xuanyu clicked his tongue. 500 million. That's all. Han Fei said, we must buy the spirit awakening fluid. We have a total of 1,822 mid-quality spiritual weapons and battlesuits, all of which can be exchanged for the spirit awakening fluid. Wow. Lu Renquang gasped. How much is that? I'm afraid we'll lose 500 or 600 million. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. I want 500 soul crystals. We have a total of 3,608 high-quality materials and nearly 1,000 combat skills. We should be able to exchange for a lot of them. Gulp. Zhang Xuanyu staggered. I'm a little dizzy. What's left? Xia Shaochan added. I also want some soul crystals, at least 100. Lu Renquang scratched his belly. Can I owe you some? This time, it was an incomparably huge deal. Lu Renquang, Zhang Xuanyu, and Luo Xiaobai barely robbed. Although they had explored some secret realms, they were definitely not as good as Han Fei and Xia Shaochan. Theoretically speaking, Xia Shaochan might have robbed fewer things than Han Fei, but not by much. At this moment, it was up to Lu Renquang and the others whether to buy it or not. Han Fei thought for a moment. Humph. I'll buy 100 soul crystals for each of you first, so that you can dig more mystic realms. Xia Shaochan suddenly said, I think we should buy more spirit awakening fluid. If it's really so magical, I'm afraid it won't be enough. The hexagon starfish suddenly said, Can I? Han Fei immediately said, No, you can't. The hexagon starfish's big eyes kept rolling. I did help. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up. You blackmailed me a lot of spiritual energy. Besides, I gave you a lot of golden things, didn't I? The hexagon starfish said, I did help, Han Fei said. If there are any soul crystals left, I'll give you some. The hexagon starfish asked, Will there be any left? Han Fei said with a smile, Probably. With that, they walked out of the soundproof array and saw the faceless man squinting at them. Seeing this look, Han Fei didn't feel good. That was what he and the others had worked so hard to get. They were going to die here. The faceless man asked, Have you discussed it? Han Fei said, Didn't you hear it? The faceless man shrugged. I didn't hear it. I'm not interested in eavesdropping. Han Fei wasn't sure whether this man was telling the truth or not, so he threw out hundreds of sea-swallowing seashells and said, Here are all mid-quality spiritual weapons and mid-quality battle suits. I want to exchange them for spirit awakening fluid. Those sea-swallowing seashells all floated beside the faceless man. After half an hour, the faceless man said slowly, It seems that you have indeed robbed a lot of people. 1,802 mid-quality spiritual weapons, many of which are standard weapons of the children of the big clans in the Thousand-Star City. They are in good quality. I can give you 1,800 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. Han Fei gritted his teeth. How heartbreaking! Han Fei's face changed and he finally said, Now. The faceless man pointed, and a sea-swallowing seashell opened, and a large amount of spirit awakening fluid rolled into it. It only took 10 minutes for 1,800 caddies of spirit awakening fluid to be thrown into Han Fei's hand. Han Fei threw dozens of sea-swallowing seashells over. All high-quality materials, and 1,000 combat skills, many of which are demon level. I want soul crystals. The faceless man nodded for a while and said with a smile, high-quality materials can be exchanged for soul crystals, 900 soul crystals. Among the combat skills, we already have 688 on the Spectre. I don't want them, but there are only 278 left, which can be exchanged for 362 soul crystals. Just when the faceless man was about to take the soul crystals, he suddenly heard Luo Xiaobai say, "Wait a minute." The faceless man asked, "Huh?" Luo Xiaobai said, "I want spirit awakening fluid." Han Fei knew that Luo Xiaobai must have a reason for saying this, so he nodded. "Then I'll exchange these combat skills for spirit awakening fluid." The faceless man said, "Okay, if you exchange them for spirit awakening fluid, 465 caddies." Han Fei bared his teeth. "Why don't you accept the combat skills that you already have?" The faceless man smiled. "You can accept them, but the price is cheap. If you can sell them separately on the dragon boat, it should be worth a lot." Of course, Han Fei wouldn't sell them on the dragon boat. These things were all stolen. Were they just waiting to be caught in the act? Han Fei thought of something. "What about the Spectre?" The faceless man smiled and said, "Okay, up to you. When you sell them, we can continue the transaction." Han Fei gritted his teeth and said, "Continue the transaction. 4 immortal seals, 1 peak-level strike of a junior hidden fisher." Han Fei threw out hundreds of sea-swallowing seashells at once. High-quality spiritual weapons and high-quality battlesuits, and the rest are all mid-quality pearls. The faceless man probed for a while and finally said, "Young man, you're quite rich." Han Fei curled his lip. "Don't get any funny ideas. Ha ha ha. I do business on the Spectre and I'm honest with you. Since you can afford it, I can certainly afford it." The faceless man waved his hand and 4 cyan radiance ancient jade floated in front of Han Fei, plus a crimson ancient jade. Before grabbing it, Han Fei and the others could feel the power emanating from this ancient jade. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang swallowed crazily. "He's too rich. He's inhumanly rich," Lu Renquang said. "If the president finds out, I'm afraid he will tear us apart." Chapter 533. At this moment, Han Fei had basically spent all the things he didn't need, except for more than 10,000 flash stones, which were worthless. Han Fei exchanged them for 8,000 spiritual fruit. Unfortunately, there were only 8,200 flash stones left, and all the spiritual fruits on the ghost ship except the expensive ones had been bought by Han Fei. Considering that the spirit awakening fluid wouldn't be enough, Han Fei used 300 million mid-quality pearls and 3,200 flash stones to exchange for 1,050 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. At this point, the transaction was completely over. If the total consumption was converted into mid-quality pearls, it would be nearly 2 billion, which was an astronomical figure. However, the harvest was also huge. In total, there were 4 immortal seals and a peak stage strike of a junior hidden fisher, 3,315 caddies of spirit awakening fluid, 900 soul crystals. Yes, 2 billion mid-quality pearls were exchanged for these 3 things, which almost made Han Fei go bankrupt. And what Han Fei still had left was 1,000 ultra-quality pearls, 300,000 high-quality pearls, 500 million mid-quality pearls, 5,000 flash stones, 688 combat skills. There were 21,068 spirit fruits, of which about 2/3 were of the spirit chi category, and only 1/3 were of the energy category. More than 90,000 caddies of spiritual spring. After the transaction, the faceless man laughed. "If you are going to make trouble for the dragon boats, I wish you a safe journey. Oh, by the way, if you want to go to the dragon boats, I can give you a suggestion for free." Han Fei waved his hand. Who will go to the dragon boats? The 5 of us are weak, we can't move, we can't move. The faceless man smiled. If you can't do anything, why do you want to buy the immortal seals and the peak stage strike? Han Fei chuckled. Do you have any good suggestions? The faceless man handed over a jade slip and said, if you succeed in the robbery, you can crush this jade slip and summon the ghost ship. Don't forget to make a deal with me. I still have a lot of treasures here, as long as you can afford it. Han Fei bared his teeth. Damn deal. This deal almost gave me a heart attack. How many king fish dragons would I have to buy with that deal? Thinking of the fish dragons, Han Fei guessed that after a year of development, their assets would be at least millions or even tens of millions. But what was the use of that? Now, he could buy the entire fish dragons with anything he had. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. In this world, small businesses are not profitable. When they left the internal trading hall, they went through several secret doors in a row, and when they reappeared, they were already inside a normal cabin. Fei, are we still going to sell things? Lu Renquang said, those combat skills can be sold on the boat. Luo Xiaobai said, we'd better not. We don't lack anything now. I always feel that the ghost ship is weird. There are too many good things here. How can it guarantee that it won't be swallowed by the dragon boat? Xia Xiaochan nodded. Because he's powerful. Luo Xiaobai shook her head. No matter how powerful he is, he can't be more powerful than 100 dragon boats. Han Fei said with a smile, people run on the sea, but this thing runs under the sea. Dragon boats can't find it. But I also think that we can go out. We've already spent so much money, so why would we care about selling a few battle skills for that little bit of money? At this moment, Han Fei was the boss. After all, he was the money lord. All Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang needed to do was to wait and share the benefits. Han Fei and the others didn't stay on the ghost ship for a moment longer. Every second they stayed here made them feel distressed. Although they did get a lot of good things, they had exchanged a huge amount of resources for them. When Han Fei and the others flew off the dragon boat, they didn't know that in a small hole in the hull of the ghost ship, a pair of eyes was staring in the direction of their departure. Oh, damn little brat, you're really good at robbing people. I'm so distressed. Next time I come, I must raise the price. 10,000 kilometers away. 5 people and 1 star sat in the cabin. Han Fei handed an immortal seal to each of them. I don't know if this seal is useful. Anyway, 1 for each of you. I'll keep the red ancient jade. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang nodded, and Xia Xiaochan casually stuffed it into her sea-swallowing seashell, not taking it seriously. Han Fei said, soul crystals, 100 for each of you. Increase your perception range to 500 meters first. How much you can increase it later depends on your luck. Then Han Fei thought for a while, and gave 200 to Xia Xiaochan. I'll try the remaining 400. If I can't use them, I'll give them to you. Xia Xiaochan looked at Han Fei with bright eyes. Can you still increase it? Han Fei chuckled. I'm just trying. Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise. What do you mean? How large is his perception range? Xia Xiaochan said in frustration. 5,000 meters. Thud. Clang. Lu Renquang sat down on the deck, and Zhang Xuanyu was so excited that he jumped up and hit his head on the top of the ship. Even Luo Xiaobai's body swayed slightly. 5,000 meters? Are you sure you're not messing with us? Han Fei coughed and said, don't get excited. Let's divide the things first. The hexagon starfish clung to Han Fei's shoulder and said, I did help. Han Fei said grumpily, I know you did. Then, I'll give you 10 soul crystals. You can refine them first. The hexagon starfish waved its tentacles, and the 10 soul crystals were immediately sucked into its mouth, disappearing with a smack. Then, it was finally time to distribute the spirit awakening fluid. At this moment, Han Fei didn't immediately give it to everyone, but summoned 9 tails, ready to try the effect of this spirit awakening fluid. Since he came out of the sea grassland last time, Nine Tails had reached level 35, which was related to Han Fei's habit of summoning him. At present, this guy had the highest level except for the 9 Death Soul-splitting octopus. Besides, Han Fei felt that the more he used the 9-tailed mantis shrimp, the more powerful it would be, so he threw 15 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid at it. Spirit Awakening fluid was too expensive. Han Fei only had 3,315 caddies in total. He couldn't throw 100 caddies to 9 tails at once. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp was confused at first, but when it smelled the Spirit Awakening fluid, it immediately sucked the Spirit Awakening fluid into its stomach. Then, everyone saw that 9 Tails' body began to emit a little green shimmer. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, "Huh! It seems to be different from when it was awakened. It didn't glow at that time." Lu Renkuang said with a trembling face, "At that time, thousands of people used a large pool, and there were only a few hundred caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid in a large pool, which was not enough for everyone." 9 Tails was motionless. Han Fei scratched his head and said, "Wait, maybe 9 Tails' level is a bit high. Let me get Little Gold." Little Gold's growth speed was comparable to Little Black and Little White, but it was still at level 32. After Little Gold came out, it rubbed its head against Han Fei, and Han Fei grabbed 10 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid and threw it into its mouth. This time, everyone was shocked. The Spirit Awakening fluid seemed to explode in Little Gold's body with a swish. After only less than 2 minutes, Little Gold's body flashed with a golden light and it leveled up. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, "Good stuff, 10 caddies leveled up?" Han Fei grinned. The money was well spent. If he raised it slowly, how long would it take to raise a contractual spiritual beast to level up? Immediately, Han Fei threw 100 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid to each of them and said, "Try it yourself first. Let's take a rest for a few days and leave when the Spirit Awakening fluid is used up." At this time, if the village leader of the Heavenly Water Village was here, he would vomit blood in anger. My F*King village uses less than 1,000 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid a year, and you F*King used it up? Zhang Xuanyu and the others took the Spirit Awakening fluid and each controlled a fishing boat to go several kilometers away. Only Xia Xiaochan sat on the deck and summoned the Shadow Shrimp and the Red Fire Tricky Shrimp. Seeing that Xia Xiaochan didn't leave, Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Why don't you catch a second contractual spiritual beast?" While feeding the Spirit Awakening fluid, Xia Xiaochan said, "I didn't meet one that I wanted, and I don't want this Red Fire Tricky Shrimp either. It's nothing special except that it can increase my speed." Han Fei smacked his lips and said, "Then don't look for another one. When we go to the unknown place, there will definitely be better ones." Then Xia Xiaochan suddenly asked, "Han Fei, do you have 2 naturally endowed spiritual beasts?" Han Fei shivered slightly and said stiffly, "Why do you say that? I only have Xiao Bai." Xia Xiaochan narrowed her eyes and said, "You must have 2 spiritual beasts. I've been paying attention to it for a long time. I felt something was wrong when I was in the level 2 fishery. I was very sure when I was in the Seaborn Prairie a few days ago. What is it? Is it also a fish?" Han Fei sat on the deck. "How can you tell?" Xia Xiaochan thought for a while and said, "Big starfish can't disappear. I couldn't find them last time. Also, when I was fighting, I always found that the enemy was making mistakes, more than once. Also, I thought the soul-attracting jellyfish was a combat skill, but now the more I think about it, the more I feel that I can't believe it. You must have a spiritual beast that can be invisible." Seeing that the others were not here, Han Fei could only tell the truth. "It's a spirit-swallowing fish that looks like Black and Little White. Only I can see it." Xia Xiaochan's eyes widened. "Is it a couple fish?" Han Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "What couple fish? Little Black and Little White are like a whole. Little Black is responsible for eating, and Little White is responsible for breathing spiritual energy. That's it." Xia Xiaochan's eyes lit up. Can I touch it? Chapter 534. Han Fei hesitated for a moment. Okay. With a flash between his eyebrows, Little Black and Little White appeared. Han Fei grabbed Little Black and said, "Come on, let your mom touch you." Xia Xiaochan glared at Han Fei and then touched something in the air. When she touched something slippery, she exclaimed in surprise, "It's real!" Alas! As a hunter, I can't feel it at all. Little Black didn't seem to like being touched, so he opened his mouth and wanted to bite. Han Fei quickly said, "Don't bite." Xia Xiaochan had already felt the sharp teeth on her skin. Then she withdrew her hand and sniffed it. Huh! No smell. This was also Little Black's characteristic. Not only was his body a shadow, but when he swam, he could hardly feel anything in the sea, including in the air, which was why others couldn't easily find him. Han Fei said, "Little Black's existence is a secret. Don't tell anyone else." Yes, yes. Xia Xiaochan nodded repeatedly. So, you also have two spiritual beasts. Han Fei thought for a while. In terms of number, this was indeed two, so he nodded again. Yes. Bo! Xia Xiaochan suddenly kissed Han Fei on the cheek, jumped to the surface of the sea, and ran away. Han Fei touched his mouth and looked dumbfounded. Is she crazy? Why did she suddenly kiss me? Xia Xiaochan was in a very good mood. It turned out that she was not the only one with two spiritual beasts. However, Han Fei was not in the mood to fall in love at the moment. He immediately took out 10 caddies of spirit awakening fluid and threw it into Little Black's mouth. This time, the speed was even faster. In only 2 minutes, Little Black and Little White's bodies flashed, and they were level 32. Then he fed them another 10 caddies, but there was no reaction. Then he fed them another 10 caddies, but there was no reaction. After feeding them 5 times, Little Black and Little White leveled up again and became level 33. Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. The effect of this spirit awakening fluid was even better than what the faceless man told him. At this moment, Little Black and Little White were already at the same level as Little Gold. 7 days later. The nine-tailed mantis shrimp was level 37, Little Gold was level 35, Little Black and Little White were level 36, and Little Fatty was level 38, so Han Fei didn't give him spirit awakening fluid. In just 3 days, Han Fei spent about 300 caddies of spirit awakening fluid on the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. He used 200 kilograms on Xiao Jin and 500 kilograms on Xiao He and Xiao Bai. As for soul crystals, Han Fei overestimated his room for growth. When he reached the 25th fragment of the God-scaring painting, it was useless for him to continue absorbing the soul crystals. Besides, from the 21st one, the number of soul crystals consumed had become 50, which meant that one soul crystal could provide him with a perception range of 10 meters. But fortunately, Han Fei's perception range had reached 9,999 meters at this moment, which had doubled. Han Fei knew that he had reached a bottleneck again. His spiritual power had reached 1299. Han Fei felt that his head was much clearer. He did not know if it was an illusion, but there were several times when he felt that his eyes could see through the seawater. Han Fei finally realized the usefulness of the spirit awakening fluid. According to the natural process, it would take at least 2 or 3 years for Xiao Jin to reach level 35, and the nine-tailed mantis shrimp to reach level 37 or level 38. As for Xiao He and Little White, it would take them a long time to reach level 36. But the spirit awakening fluid helped them achieve the goal of several years in just 3 days, which made Han Fei excited. What if he had 10,000 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid? Besides, the faceless man said that the spirit awakening fluid was also useful to humans, but Han Fei thought that he could improve his spiritual heritage with a cultivation method, so he didn't really need it. Besides, he didn't have enough spirit awakening fluid to begin with, and it was obviously not enough for Little Black and Little White. It seems that I have to work hard to make money. If I can rob the dragon boat, TSK. Of course, this business was definitely a loss in the eyes of many people. After all, as long as a few years passed, their contractual spiritual beasts and spiritual beasts would grow stronger, so why spend money? But how could Han Fei have so much time to raise them? The enemy of the dragon boat was right in front of him, and it would be precious if he didn't improve his strength at this moment. Unlike Han Fei, none of them used spirit awakening fluid to cultivate their contractual spiritual beasts, but gave all the spirit awakening fluid to their naturally endowed spiritual beasts. Especially Luo Xiaobai, her blue cannibal flower even showed signs of breaking through level 40. How many days had it been? A few days ago, the blue cannibal flower had just reached level 39, and now it seemed that it would break through at any time. Xia Xiaochan's shadow shrimp reached level 37, but she didn't feed it to the giant arowana. In its words, the giant arowana was too strong, so she just needed to raise it slowly. Zhang Xuanyu's bloodthirsty shark reached level 37. Lu Renquang's spiritual clam had reached level 38 at this moment, probably because of its special physique, breaking through 3 levels in a row. So far, the spirit awakening fluid they spent nearly 800 million yuan on was all used up. Luo Xiaobai said, "When I go back this time, I'll find out how to obtain spirit awakening fluid. This time we got too little spirit awakening fluid. If we can have enough spirit awakening fluid, I think our strength can be doubled." Zhang Xuanyu said excitedly, "Yes, we spent too much money. It's more cost-effective for us to find it ourselves." Han Fei didn't think so. Isn't the purpose of improving our strength to grab more resources? This is why the strong get stronger. Luo Xiaobai nodded slightly. "We can't just use yours. We can do it ourselves in the future. Otherwise, you should be stronger if you use it alone." Han Fei grinned and said, "I'm giving you things because I want you to do great things." Lu Renquang said cautiously, "To rob a dragon boat?" Everyone had long known Han Fei's purpose, but they had never asked why. At this moment, Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help but say, "Fei Fei, can you still find the dragon boat that chased you? Or do we just find a random one and get on it?" Han Fei rolled his eyes at Zhang Xuanyu. "Of course, I want to find that dragon boat. I have a big grudge with the hanging fisher on that boat." Everyone thought that the big grudge was that Han Fei was almost killed by the people on the dragon boat and the Sun family. In fact, only Han Fei himself knew that there was a barrier in his heart. If he couldn't get revenge, he couldn't get over it. On the path of cultivation, the most dreaded thing was the mental test, so no matter what, Han Fei would take revenge. 1 month later, news had spread all over the dragon boat. According to the news, the Wind God boat was wandering around the entire level 3 fishery. Every day there were always people who saw the Wind God boat, like a bolt of lightning, drawing a beautiful red streamline on the sea. On the top of a certain dragon boat, a hanging fisher was holding a fishing rod in his hand, holding his chin with one hand, fishing in boredom. Behind this hanging fisher, a man in a black robe stood here quietly. "My lord, if my guess is right, Han Fei and the others should be coming for our dragon boat." The hanging fisher grunted slightly and then said in a lazy voice, "I didn't kill him on the spot, because I should have known that he would come back for revenge. Looking at this person's experience in the level 3 fishery, he should be a vengeful person." The man in a black robe asked, "My lord, do you need us to secretly arrange people to snipe him?" The hanging fisher sneered. "Didn't you say that he has a disguise technique? How can you find him?" The man in a black robe said, "My lord, this boy has a lot of opportunities. The children of the 7 major sects in the 1,000-star city have all suffered losses in his hands. Although my lord's strength is unfathomable, these 5 people. It doesn't matter." The hanging fisher waved his hand gently and said, "5 dangling fishers, even if they have a lot of opportunities, can they join forces to kill me? Let's wait for the fish to take the bait." The man in a black robe wanted to say something but finally swallowed it. He cursed in his heart. Of course it doesn't matter, but I went to kill him myself. That damn bastard, the first person he came for was definitely me. Don't you know that? The man in a black robe thought for a long time and felt that he couldn't stay on this dragon boat any longer, at least not in the ghost market. He made up his mind to secretly leave the dragon boat, teleport to an irrelevant town, and then find a village to live in seclusion. After 3 or 5 years, no one in this cruel level 3 fishery would remember him. Half an hour later, outside the ghost market on the dragon boat, a big man walked into the dark and dirty 3-story house. This man had a square face and his aura was unstable, looking like an intermediate dangling fisher. He had just injected a large amount of spiritual energy into a scapegoat. Ha! Aren't you afraid of their revenge? I'm here to make money. Do you want me to die? This man was piercing his face with all kinds of small needles. Since Han Fei made waves in the seaborne prairie, he had been looking for a disguise technique, and now it really came in handy. Creak! He said angrily, "This is my room. I live alone." Really? Didn't you say you could live freely on the 3rd floor? The man sneered. I robbed it. It's none of your business. However, in the next second, the man's face was full of horror. Han Fei? Yes, Han Fei removed the 1,000 faces technique and showed his true face to this man. Han Fei smiled faintly. Are you going to run away? You've done a good job, but why do you think you can run away from me now? The man looked frightened. Han Fei, this is a dragon boat. If you mess around, you won't be able to get out. Han Fei sneered. You don't need to worry about whether I can get out or not. A life for a life. Back then, I asked you to let that little girl go, but you refused. From that moment on, you were already dead. The man said in horror, Han Fei, this is the order of the hanging fisher. It has nothing to do with me. Let me go and I'll give you my sea-swallowing seashell. Hey sea-swallowing seashell? I don't even bother to pick that thing up now. The reason why I'm here chatting with you is actually... As he spoke, the man only felt that his eyes were dazzled. Even though he had done enough, he was still a step too late. Bam! A figure smashed through a dozen houses and fell heavily to the ground, with several broken teeth and a nosebleed. Han Fei looked at the figure in the darkness and grinned. One punch Poison King. If you can survive, I will let you go. Just now, he felt something go down his throat into his stomach. His first reaction was to change back into his black robe and hurry to find the hanging fisher. After only less than 10 minutes, he ran to the 1st floor of the deck. Puff! Ew! The black-robed man immediately felt his stomach churning, and he seemed to have vomited the last New Year's Eve dinner. Not only that, his stomach seemed to explode, and he peed and pooped. Chapter 535. After Han Fei fed the black-robed man a mouthful of the Poison King, the first thing Han Fei did was not to follow up but to crush a flash stone. He didn't think that this black-robed man could slip away quietly under the nose of a hanging fisher. Han Fei even felt that it was the hanging fisher who was fishing. In fact, during this period of time, when Han Fei and the others were blatantly looking for dragon boats, the other party must have already known their purpose. As Han Fei expected, when he crushed the flash stone, there was a trace of palpitation in his heart. He must have been noticed. Han Fei appeared at the bottom of the dragon boat, where contractual spiritual beasts were kept. When Han Fei appeared, he happened to meet a guard on the dragon boat. The guard was startled by the sudden appearance of Han Fei. As soon as he was about to shout, a fist hit him in the stomach. The man didn't shout out. In the air, an octopus tentacle directly buckled him. After knocking the man out, Han Fei dragged the man to the corner, changed his clothes, and changed his appearance. After doing all this, Han Fei felt that his reaction was so fast that even he admired himself. Everything happened in a flash, and no one else noticed it at all. As soon as Han Fei walked out of the corner, he ran into a man with a fierce face. When the man saw Han Fei, he immediately shouted, "Lu Xiaolu, what are you doing here? I asked you to patrol the farm, but you are slacking off here, aren't you?" Han Fei hurriedly said, I'm going. The man didn't doubt him and just snorted. After the patrol, hurry up and go to the front to pick up the customer. A big customer just came and asked for an exotic creature as his spiritual beast. You have to pay attention to it and recommend that mutant red-haired big-mouthed crab to it. You know the price. Han Fei thought to himself, what do I know? I'm leaving right away. As soon as Han Fei was about to leave, he was stopped by the man, who shouted, Where are you going? You little brat, the red-haired big-mouthed crab is over there. After a while, Han Fei was looking at a red-haired big-mouthed crab in a pool on a bridge that was more than 30 meters tall. He mumbled, Brother Crab, I'm sorry, but I think it's better for you to sacrifice yourself for your freedom. Then he casually dripped 4 or 5 drops of the Poison King into the pool. Below the dragon boat there were all livestock areas. Only some of the creatures were kept together, and most of the creatures were kept separately, so the ponds were almost separated by layers. Han Fei didn't care at all. He didn't take the big man's words seriously at all. He walked all the way and the Poison King dropped all the way. As a matter of fact, after walking for 3 to 5 li, someone called out, Hey! Isn't that Lu Xiaolu? Why did Chief Wang let you come here? An advanced dangling fisher? Han Fei chuckled. Isn't there a big client in front? Chief Wang asked me to see if there are any exotic octopuses here. I thought there might be one in front, so I went to check it out first. The man was stunned for a moment. Me? Really? You mean the 3-eyed octopus? Can't you just bring the guests there? Why do you have to make a trip? Really? Han Fei's eyes flickered and he whispered in the man's ear, inside story. The man was startled and hurriedly said, Oh. I see. Then hurry up. Don't let Chief Wang wait for too long. Han Fei nodded and hurried all the way. From time to time, Han Fei saw a group of clients choosing contractual spiritual beasts around the waterhole. Han Fei threw the Poison King at every pool he passed, thinking, You can choose, you can sell, I'm here to cause trouble today. Han Fei and the others boarded the dragon boat separately. Originally, they agreed to meet in the employment hall, but as soon as Han Fei came up, he sensed the strange behavior of the black-robed man, so he didn't go to the appointment for the time being. Oh no! The contractual spiritual beast is sick. It was unknown where this shout came from, but it immediately attracted the attention of many people. Someone even sneered. Are you King retarded? How can contractual spiritual beasts get sick? But then these people were stunned, because a large number of creatures began to vomit. There was a single-horned shark that directly began to hit the pool with its head, and its tail spewed filth everywhere. There was a soft squid which was really soft. Ink sprayed everywhere, spraying the entire pool black. There was a red flame python, spewing flames from its mouth and waving its tail, spraying all kinds of filth all over the sky. After about 2 minutes someone shouted, Someone poisoned. After another few minutes someone shouted, Search for Lu Xiaolu on the boat. He is an imposter. When they were frantically catching fierce beasts on the bottom floor, Han Fei saw a man walking towards him. Without saying a word, he knocked him down with a punch, and then his face changed. At the exit, Han Fei threw a Poison King smoke into the cabin. Hey! Take your time to catch Lu Xiaolu. On the first deck, everyone was holding the railing, looking at the black-robed man struggling on the sea, terrified. Just now, after the black-robed man appeared on the deck for a while, he was caught by a fishing hook that fell from the sky and thrown into the sea. On the sea, it was no longer a matter of whether he was caught or not. The black-robed man's situation became more and more serious. He kept vomiting all kinds of things mixed with internal organs. His internal organs were probably all damaged and he was hopeless. Someone shivered all over and said, Who did this guy offend? He's so miserable. Someone sighed. Damn, why is my right eyelid twitching? I have a feeling that something bad is going to happen. Someone couldn't bear to look at it. Feeling disgusted, he said, this is too cruel. He's going to vomit blood and flesh. At this moment, the black-robed man had already sunk into the sea. Someone could see through the fishing hook that he was more than just vomiting and diarrhea. Blood was oozing out of the pores all over the black-robed man's body, and some parts even cracked. His body seemed to be gradually melting. It stood to reason that there should be a large number of fish around the dragon boat, but at this moment there was no fish around the black-robed man. Many creatures were floating on the sea with their bellies up, and none of the other creatures dared to approach him at all. On the first deck, a few people in ordinary clothes were talking to each other via voice transmission. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Xia Shaochan, is this the Poison King you mentioned? Yes, but Han Fei seems to have used too much of it. 1 drop should be enough to kill him. But judging from the situation of this person, Han Fei should have used a lot of it. Lu Renkuang added, more than a lot. I wonder if he filled this guy's body with the Poison King. This is too terrifying. Luo Xiaobai didn't look at him anymore but just wondered, why did Han Fei suddenly act on his own? Zhang Xuanyu said grumpily. He is a guy who doesn't play by common sense. I don't know where he is now. Just when many people on the dragon boat were watching the sea, dozens of people rushed out of nowhere, all vomiting and having diarrhea. Those who were in better condition directly exclaimed, Guards, guards! EW! Something happened on the bottom floor. EW! Someone poisoned! The deck was in a panic for a while. Everyone could watch the fun, but they absolutely didn't want to get themselves involved. Who knew if this poison was contagious? Someone immediately exclaimed, Let's go, let's go! Don't King come to the crowd. Someone said angrily, We can't stay here anymore. It must be Han Fei who dares to poison the dragon boat. It must be Han Fei. Many people remembered what happened on the steps into the sea. Although the major families and the 7 major sects in the Thousand-Star City tried their best to suppress this matter, it didn't become widely known. However, there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall. Many people knew that Han Fei overturned the Thousand-Star City with a single poison. At this moment, this situation was exposed in front of them. Coupled with the symptoms of the poison people, many people were horrified. Is Han Fei coming to retaliate? Luo Xiaobai said, Let's go to the employment hall first and meet up there. Xia Shaochan wondered, How do you know he will still go to the employment hall? Luo Xiaobai said, He has made such a big mess. It's impossible for him to go to the hanging fisher alone. If he doesn't come in a short time, we will find a way to sneak into the 4th floor. If anything happens on the top floor, we will know immediately. On the top of the dragon boat, the hanging fisher sat on the boat with a cold face. He didn't expect Han Fei to be so crazy. It was reasonable for him to take revenge on the black-robed man. He deliberately didn't let the black-robed man go because he wanted to lure Han Fei out, but he was still a step too late. As a result, this guy went to the bottom floor to harm the contractual spiritual beast. Who the CK would have thought that? The hanging fisher gritted his teeth. Don't let me catch you, Humph. Chapter 536. Han Fei still didn't go to meet Xia Shaochan and the others immediately. In his opinion, the dragon boat was a place where the major clans in the Thousand-Star City made money. It seemed to be prosperous, but in fact it sucked people's blood. He didn't intend to hurt those innocent passers-by, but Han Fei didn't like the dragon boat at all. If there was a place with many treasures on the dragon boat, it must be the warehouse. In addition, it should be the ghost market. Of course, Han Fei's first choice was the warehouse, but when Little White perceived that the place with the most treasures seemed to be on the 4th and 5th floors, he immediately gave up this plan. After thinking about it for a while, Han Fei made a decision. The employment hall was still in full swing. It seemed that what happened to the black-robed man and the bottom of the boat didn't bring much shock to them. Shouts rose and fell one after another. 3 missing 2, an advanced dangling fisher armorist and a spirit gatherer come to explore the crescent spring. For missing 1, an advanced dangling fisher manipulator come to explore the crescent spring. A peak-level dangling fisher come to explore the secret realm in a team of 10. Interested parties, please come. The crescent spring was a place that was not very dangerous in the level 3 fishery. It was said that under this seabed, there was a crescent-shaped canyon in which heavy water flowed. In the heavy water, some special spring water would flow out from time to time. It was said that this spring water could strengthen physique, increase the probability of breakthrough, etc. However, this treasure land was not selected as one of the top 10 dangerous places in the level 3 fishery. It could only be said that its value was not high, and the degree of danger was not high, so Han Fei was not interested in it at all. Someone shouted, "For missing 1, an advanced dangling fisher come to find the lost treasure." Han Fei grinned and immediately walked over. Before he could reach them, a soul warrior came up to him. "Hey, brother, what kind of treasure do you mean by lost treasure?" "Lost treasure is lost treasure. I once read in an ancient book that there may be an ancient treasure hidden near the crescent spring." The soul warrior said, "There are ancient books? Okay, I'm in. Go away, we want a soul warrior who can dig holes." The soul warrior said, "Dig holes? I can dig holes. What's your spiritual beast?" The soul warrior grinned and said, "I have lobsters and crabs. Do you think I can dig holes?" The fatty pondered for a moment. "Is your spiritual beast exotic?" The soul warrior was stunned. "Are you crazy? If I had an exotic spiritual beast, would I dig a hole for you?" The soul warrior left angrily, and Han Fei stood in front of the little fatty. "Don't embarrass yourself. Let's go." The little fatty's eyes lit up. "Han Fei? You're here?" Han Fei asked telepathically, "Where are Xia Shaochan and the others?" Lu Renquang nodded. "He's next door. I'll call him." A moment later, the 5 of them leaned against the railing. Han Fei said, "Xia Shaochan, I have an arduous task for you." Xia Shaochan's eyes lit up. "How difficult is it?" Han Fei thought for a while. "It's worth at least 500 caddies of spirit awakening fluid." Xia Shaochan immediately said, "What should I do?" Han Fei said, "The treasure house of the dragon boat should be on the 4th or 5th floor. I suspect that it is more likely to be on the 5th floor. However, once we go up to the 5th floor we will definitely be discovered. So, our first target is the black market." Luo Xiaobai exclaimed, "Is it where those black-robed men are?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes. Let Master Hexagon follow us. It will definitely find the treasure house of the black market." The hexagon starfish was hiding in the clothes under Lu Renquang's shoulder. In order to prevent accidents, he also set up a concealment array for himself. Hearing Han Fei's words, the hexagon starfish asked, "Can I take some?" Han Fei said, "No problem, but time is tight. It's more convenient for Xia Shaochan to take some. I'll give you some later." The hexagon starfish's eyes flickered. It always felt that Han Fei was lying to it. Although it did get a lot of things from Han Fei during this period, those were all defective goods. All the good things were taken by them. Han Fei continued, "Next, I will take the initiative to expose my identity and entangle that hanging fisher. Xiaobai will take the opportunity to find the treasure house on the 5th floor, and I will let Xiaobai follow you." Luo Xiaobai frowned and said, "Are you going to face him head-on?" Han Fei smiled and said, "Yes, so what? Don't forget, I have a peak strike with me." Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "That ancient jade may not be able to kill a hanging fisher. It's just an attack. Are you going to use it at the beginning?" Han Fei chuckled. "Don't worry, I will seize the opportunity. Don't forget, in addition to the immortal seal and the peak strike, I still have the Poison King." Even if I can't beat that old B** starred, I can poison him to death. Everyone shuddered at the sight. They all remembered the miserable appearance of the black-robed man just now. The Poison King was simply brutal. Luo Xiaobai said, "Now that you have been exposed, there must be many peak-level dangling fissures on the 5th floor. You will face more than one peak-level dangling fissure. With the strength of Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang, I'm afraid they can't control a hanging fissure, not to mention that the other party should be a peak-level hanging fissure." Han Fei smiled faintly. If he can always be at his peak on the 5th floor of the dragon boat. Ruan Yu had been sitting on this dragon boat for more than 3 years. Not everyone could come to the level 3 fishery to sit on a dragon boat. This required not only strength and connections, but also meritorious deeds and military record. All the hanging fishers who could appear in the level 3 fishery were all masters. From the moment the black-robed man was poisoned just now, Wu Yu knew that Han Fei had come to him blatantly. Although Han Fei's disguise skill was indeed brilliant in the end, he was still just a dangling fisher. He didn't think Han Fei could pose a threat to him. The only thing that made Ruan Yu in a bad mood was the poison used by Han Fei. He didn't know how Han Fei came up with that thing. Although he had taken a lot of anti-poison fruits that were better than those in the level 3 fishery, it didn't mean that he could completely resist it. Therefore, Ruan Yu planned to kill Han Fei as soon as he appeared, leaving no room for negotiation. At this moment, a black-robed man stood behind him. "My lord, the treasure house has been arranged. If Han Fei goes there, he will find nothing." Ruan Yu nodded, his expression indifferent. "Okay. Then wait for him. I'd like to see what the students from the Thug Academy are like after 30 years. Just when Ruan Yu was calmly waiting for Han Fei, a fish hook suddenly appeared in the air, and there was something black hanging on the hook. "Huh. 1,000-mile fishing technique? Disperse." Ruan Yu raised his hand and a golden handprint slapped at the fishing hook. He didn't know what the black ball was, but it was probably the kind of poison that could make people vomit and have diarrhea. Bam! The poisonous Smoke King exploded and dissipated in the air in an instant, colorless and odorless, disappearing without a trace. Ruan Yu shouted, "Step back! Array, rise!" When a blue light curtain enveloped Ruan Yu and the people nearby, it suddenly began to rain heavily. Many black-robed men on the top of the dragon boat were caught off guard. They could avoid the battle, but what about the rain? Even a fishing master was not necessarily afraid of being drenched in the rain. They knew that the rain must be mixed with poison, but the premise was that the rain had to be drenched on their bodies to have a chance to poison them, right? But this was simply impossible. They only needed to support their bodies with a spiritual energy protective cover, and the rain couldn't touch them at all. Clank, clank, clank. Those peak-level dangling fishers who were drenched in the rain were still carefully probing around, but suddenly found that they were surrounded by blades. Not good, the rain has turned into blades. Bam, bam, bam. At the moment when the rain turned into blades, explosions broke out in at least dozens of places on the dragon boat. In the black market on the 3rd floor of the dragon boat, shadow blades flew everywhere, and a closed door was directly broken by Xia Shaochan. In a certain area on the 5th floor of the dragon boat, large tracts of colorful smoke suddenly emerged. On the entire dragon boat, many people were dumbfounded and looked up one after another. "Oh, someone is attacking the ship! Wow! Han Fei, it must be Han Fei and the others!" Someone exclaimed, "How dare they attack the dragon boat with just a few people? Crazy, crazy, Han Fei is a lunatic. Let's go. Don't be affected by the poison." Chapter 537. Han Fei came, stood on the deck of the 5th floor, and walked towards Ruan Yu step by step. And those peak-level dangling fishers on the 5th floor didn't expect that the rain could turn into knives. Besides, this kind of knife was extremely sharp and tore their protective cover in the blink of an eye. When the rain fell on them, many people knew that they were done for. They had seen what happened to the black-robed man. No one wanted to end up like him, vomiting and having diarrhea, dying from a broken liver and intestines. So these peak-level dangling fishers all released their spiritual energy, trying to shake the rain away. However, what made them despair was that it was not rain at all. It was clearly a knife. Han Fei walked in the heavy rain, and not a drop of water fell on him. This was the first time that Han Fei had used the infinity water so unscrupulously. This supreme treasure, which buried the entire heavenly desolate city, gave full play to its advantage at this moment. Where there is water, there is a knife. The infinity water showed its domineering power at this moment. Although with Han Fei's current ability to control the infinity water, he might not be able to directly kill these peak-level dangling fishers. But Han Fei didn't need it at all. As they all expected, the rain was poisonous, the poison of the Poison King. The previous Poison King was just a test by Han Fei. As a result, Han Fei used a seal on it. Around Ruanyu, a large blue array appeared. At this moment, a strange scene appeared on the top of the entire dragon boat. Heavy rain poured down, but it didn't fall on the fourth floor at all. The streams of water rolled back to the sky, surging to the blue array or pouncing on the peak-level dangling fishers. Clank, clank, clank. The blue array, flickering slightly, seemed to be about to be broken by the infinity water at any time. Puff, puff, Han Fei glanced at these peak-level dangling fishers in disgust. Get out of here and find anti-poison fruit. Maybe they can save your lives. As soon as Han Fei said this, all the peak-level dangling fishers on the top of the boat, except for those protected by the blue array, ran away. They had to run. This was a race against time. If they were one step slower, they would follow in the footsteps of the black-robed man. Han Fei looked at Ruanyu with a smile. Were you the one who wanted to kill me? Ruanyu's expression did not change. Instead, he stretched out a hand from the array and caught a few drops of rain. Han Fei's eyes narrowed slightly. The infinity water would gradually become stronger with his growth. Even if it could not reach the level of a peak spiritual weapon at the moment, ordinary people could resist it with their physical bodies, and they would be pierced by the knife light like those people just now. However, not only was Ruanyu fine, but he also took the initiative to absorb the raindrop. After feeling for a while, Ruanyu frowned slightly. He found that his body was a little uncomfortable. The poison was so strong that even he had to resist it? Han Fei immediately took a deep breath. Are you injecting drugs into my body? Han Fei didn't know what to say. He didn't move but let the infinity water attack the blue array. Having stayed in the level 3 fishery for so long, Han Fei had long realized that there was no array in the world that couldn't be cracked. If you can't break it, then either your attack isn't strong enough, or your attack time isn't long enough. For example, the protective array of the heavenly desolation city. Wasn't that array powerful enough? Wasn't it still destroyed by the sea race? Inside the array, Ruanyu said lightly to his subordinates around him, "Flash away." Ruanyu had experienced it himself. The poison used by Han Fei was almost invincible in the level 3 fishery. Unless he had eaten all the anti-poison fruits in the level 3 fishery, or rare spiritual fruits such as the venomous tulip and the 1,000 poison fruit, there was no way to crack it. Yes, my lord. Swish, swish, swish. When all these people flashed away, Ruanyu looked at Han Fei. Your purpose is to leave me alone. But what makes you think that you can beat me just because I'm alone? And the two who are hiding know that they can't hide from my perception. What's the point of hiding? As soon as he said that, Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang jumped out, and the rain automatically avoided them. Ruanyu perceived again and smiled faintly. There are still 2 missing. Have you gone to rob the treasure house of the dragon boat? Sure enough, you are from the Thug Academy. You won't let go of any benefits. But do you think it's so easy to rob the treasure house of the dragon boat? Han Fei grinned. I know it's not easy to rob. If I can rob it, I'll rob it. If I can't, I'll kill you. Anyway, if I defeat you, Who else can compete for the treasure house? You're bragging. Ruan Yu shook his arms, and the blue array suddenly broke, and billowing airwaves blasted in all directions. A big fish with long fins and scarlet scales flashed out from between Ruan Yu's eyebrows. A string of data appeared in Han Fei's eyes. Name Gale Arowana, Ruan Yu's spiritual beast. Introduction: a special fish that grows in the stormy sea and can create hurricanes on the sea. The wind is full of energy and can easily crush creatures of the same level. In battle, it carries the power of the wind. Level 44 quality exotic contains spiritual energy greater than 4,356 points. Food shellfish contains soul power greater than 1,524 points. Han Fei became serious. This person has raised his spiritual beast to level 44? Han Fei had encountered a creature of this level before. At that time, he couldn't even break the shell of the spirit-absorbing centipede in the ordinary fishery. However, this big fish in front of him was just a fish, which made Han Fei breathe a sigh of relief. If it was a crustacean, it would be really hard to defeat it. The Gale Arowana opened its mouth, roared at the sky, and a hurricane directly fell from the sky. Lu Renquang took the lead and activated the sky-swallowing technique. The suction force spread in all directions, causing the hurricane to twist and bend towards him. Han Fei's momentum soared, and the infinity water gathered, turned into a water column, and plunged straight into the hurricane. Suddenly, the water blade and the wind rolled together, and it was hard to tell which one was stronger. Han Fei was shocked. So strong. Han Fei activated the majestic mystic spell, and his momentum continued to rise. At the same time, Little Fatty and Little Gold attached to him, directly raising his realm to that of a peak-level dangling fisher. Han Fei didn't dare to take it lightly. Even if he couldn't exert the real value of the infinity water, it was still a treasure of a city. With the little power that he could use at present, he was already on par with the spiritual beast of a hanging fisher, which showed that he was on par with the spiritual beast of a hanging fisher. Ruan Yu sneered, a green light flashed in his hand, and an armor box fell to the ground. At the same time, Han Fei saw a huge shark mouth roaring in the air and attached to Ruan Yu's body. Above his arms there were two sharp discs. This was not the end. Immediately after that, a big dark blue fish condensed. Han Fei recognized at a glance that it was a sailfish. So there was another dark blue spear in Ruan Yu's hand. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. An armorist and a soul warrior at the same time? Ruan Yu smiled faintly. Good taste. It's a pity. Ruan Yu suddenly shouted, and the billowing sound waves surged in all directions. Do you think anyone can sit on a dragon boat? Ghost break. Ruan Yu raised his head, and a flame appeared in the air, and circles of air waves spread on the spear. Seeing this scene, Zhang Xuanyu immediately rushed up. 9-layered waves in furious sea. Buzz, Ruan Yu didn't even look back, and the wheels on his arms rolled out. At this time, there was no fancy moves at all. In a life-and-death battle, only efficiency mattered. Han Fei took out the blood-drinking knife, and used the draw technique with all his strength. The deck was lifted up, and the knife light drew a half-arc in the air with soaring murderous intent. Han Fei didn't want to retreat, and he couldn't retreat. Since he had chosen to fight him, he had to fight him to the end. At least he had to hold on until the others arrived and surrounded him. He slashed out, and the billowing air waves directly rippled thousands of meters of red light in the air, shining in the sky. Below the dragon boat, people had already risen up on fishing boat. At this moment they were watching this scene in a daze. Wow! Someone said in shock, Han Fei can actually challenge a hanging fisher? Oh my god! What kind of domineering combat skill is that? How can it be so powerful? Oh my god, Han Fei didn't retreat. What is he going to do? Someone was horrified. Zhang Xuanyu was defeated. Zhang Xuanyu was defeated. His 9-layered waves in furious sea had already been launched. However, he still couldn't shake or break through the two wheels. At this moment, Lu Renkuang gave up the sky-swallowing technique, stood in front of Zhang Xuanyu, and shouted, "Divine Turtle Shield, Infinite Defense!" Clang, 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 a huge old turtle covered in front of Lu Renkuang, and the turtle shell propped up an armor-shaped shield, blocking the two wheels. On the other side, Han Fei gathered all his energy. His eyes were red as if flashing with fire, and the sacrificing punch roared out. BM, BM, BM. Han Fei broke through 3 barriers in midair in a row and launched the most powerful sacrificing punch. He grinned hideously. "I'd like to see how strong a hanging fisher is." Han Fei didn't use the art of invincibility. Although that boxing technique was strong, he hadn't mastered its essence yet, so he couldn't use it to deal with the current hanging fisher. But the sacrificing punch was different. It was a punch tailor-made for Han Fei. One punch could defeat all methods. Ren Tianfei left it for Han Fei to save his life. He never expected that Han Fei would launch the sacrificing punch as soon as he appeared. Ruan Yu's face darkened. He spread out his arms and the 2 wheels immediately returned. Humph! The armor box in front of Ruan Yu opened, and long thorns appeared inside. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of long thorns were twisted together and turned into a large conical thorn. In an instant, the long thorn rushed forward, and the tricolor streams of light burst out, dazzling light, illuminating everyone within dozens of kilometers. They couldn't help but cover their eyes with their hands. Take my mystic divine thorn. Chapter 538. The moment when Han Fei and Ruan Yu attacked, the time was so short that it couldn't even be described as a flash of lightning. Zhang Xuanyu's body was still flying in the sky. Seeing this scene, how could he not be shocked? At the risk of bleeding from his eyes, Zhang Xuanyu launched a soul stab. At this moment, Ruan Yu, who was fighting Han Fei wholeheartedly, didn't expect that one of them knew how to use soul attacks. Ruan Yu swallowed a mouthful of blood and was bleeding from his eyes, nose, and mouth. Ho! After taking a soul attack from Zhang Xuanyu, Ruan Yu still didn't look back but continued to control the mystic divine spike. Lu Renkuang was also fighting desperately at this moment. He didn't expect this hanging fisher to be so strong. In his opinion, the mystic divine spike was a fatal stab. Lu Renkuang roared, added the violent war body to the majestic mystic spell, and at the same time, shot out a golden light. Bloodthirsty broadsword. Lu Renkuang's bloodthirsty broadsword was a combat skill with the same effect as Han Fei's draw technique and sacrificing punch, but the bloodthirsty broadsword was even more ruthless. If it didn't drink blood, it would definitely backfire. But the bloodthirsty broadsword was too slow to interrupt Ruan Yu's attack. In the sky, a huge fist mark, like a meteor, smashed at Ruan Yu in a blaze of flames, and the mystic divine spike directly avoided the sacrificing punch and stabbed at Han Fei's chest. Whether it was Han Fei or Ruan Yu, they didn't hesitate to take a blow from each other. Han Fei thought to himself, "Little fatty, I'm counting on you this time." Han Fei roared, "I have the indestructible body, the majestic mystic spell, and an ultra-quality battle suit. Little fatty can absorb 90% of the power. I don't believe I can't block your blow." At that moment, Han Fei took out a big shield and put it in front of him. This was the ultra-quality giant shield that he refined in the abyssal chasm to resist the sword current. However, with a clang, the giant shield was pierced through, and a large circular hole was made. Han Fei immediately put on another ultra-quality battle suit in front of him. This time, it lasted for a full 2 minutes. During these 2 minutes, Han Fei threw away the giant shield and his sacrificing punch had hit Ruan Yu. This guy crossed his arms, and 2 roulette discs were suspended in the air. Bombarded by the sacrificing punch, the top deck suddenly shattered, and Ruan Yu's body left a nearly 200-meter-long scratch on the deck. F***ck your mother! Han Fei cursed, the top-quality battle robe was pierced, and the Xian Shen thorn landed on his shoulder. Crack! Han Fei felt as if he had touched an embroidery needle for the first time. He flew backward for nearly a kilometer in the air. Another set of supreme-grade battle armor on his body lasted for about 3 breaths before it was torn again. However, at this moment, an invisible tentacle, which was also an impenetrable fish skin, blocked the attack. In the end, the mystic divine spike failed to pierce through Little Fatty's defense, but Han Fei still vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood and felt that his left shoulder was broken. Fortunately, Han Fei managed to block the mystic divine spike. Now that he had blocked it, Han Fei was sure that although the attack of a peak-level dangling fisher was strong, it couldn't kill him. If it was an ordinary junior hanging fisher or intermediate hanging fisher, he might not even need to use an ultra-quality spiritual weapon to resist it, and the indestructible body could block it. As for Ruan Yu, his shoulder also seemed to be broken at this moment. He vomited a mouthful of blood, and there was a fist mark on his ultra-quality battle robe, which was completely cracked. All the onlookers were dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? A hanging fisher? The super-strong master on the dragon boat was injured so badly at this moment? On the other side, Han Fei stuffed a few mouthfuls of candle dragon blood into his mouth. With a thought in his mind, the infinity water rushed at Ruan Yu. Han Fei stretched out his hand, spread his golden and red wings, and continued to rush at Ruan Yu. He felt that he could use his peak strike now. If he couldn't kill this person, he would run away. It was at this moment that the bloodthirsty broadsword finally arrived. Ruan Yu, who was also an armorist, flashed in his armor box and a strange-looking glove was put on his hand. With one hand on the ground, he punched back. Clang, the air waves whistled towards Lu Renquang, and Lu Renquang's ultra-quality long knife was smashed by this fist. Puff! This blow made Lu Renquang kneel on the ground, coughing up blood twice in a row, and then he raised his head with difficulty. However, Ruan Yu was not completely unscathed. His entire right arm was torn into hundreds of wounds by a force of qi. Except for the boxing glove, his right arm was probably seriously injured. At this moment, as soon as Han Fei flapped his wings, a dragon roar suddenly exploded in Ruan Yu's ears. Immediately afterward, a slender figure directly blasted Ruan Yu into the sky with a blow. In the blink of an eye, the 1,000-strike technique was penetrated 18 times in a row, and blood splashed every time. At this moment, Ruan Yu, who couldn't stay in the air, knocked the millstones in his hands against each other. Clang like a big bell ringing, Xia Xiaochan was directly blasted out of the shadow state. Xia Xiaochan's mouth was bleeding, and in a flash, she appeared behind Ruan Yu again, and a violent stab was pressed against Ruan Yu's neck. But as a hanging fisher, even if he was in the air, his reaction was extremely fast. He directly took off the ultra-quality battlesuit on his body and blocked Xia Xiaochan's blow. At the same time, a gust of wind rolled up, and he stepped on the gust of wind and put on another ultra-quality battlesuit. Han Fei rushed over at top speed, and Luo Xiaobai also rushed to the deck. However, Luo Xiaobai's situation didn't look too good. There were traces of battle on her body, and her face looked very pale. But the moment Luo Xiaobai went up to the 5th floor, countless vines swept out, dragging Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renquang and Xia Xiaochan back. At the same time, Luo Xiaobai stuffed a spiritual fruit into her mouth and pointed at Ruan Yu with her finger. Hundreds of huge petals directly ignored the gust of wind and wrapped Ruan Yu like a shadow. Bam! The petals exploded, and blood spilled out of Luo Xiaobai's mouth. Obviously, this blow consumed a lot of her energy. When the petals exploded, Ruan Yu's hair was disheveled, and he glanced at Luo Xiaobai and the others. The long stab of the sailfish in his hand shot straight at Luo Xiaobai as if trying to nail her to death. Lu Renquang gritted his teeth and was about to take out his shield, when he saw 6 pillars of light rising into the sky. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The spear spun wildly on the 6-gate formation. At the moment the 6-gate formation was broken, Zhang Xuanyu hit the spear hard and knocked it away. At this moment, Han Fei had already returned. Seeing Ruan Yu wearing another ultra-quality battlesuit, Han Fei didn't care about him at all. The red ancient jade was crushed by Han Fei. At the moment the ancient jade was broken, Ruan Yu widened his eyes and shouted, "Who is helping you?" Ruan Yu wasn't afraid of Han Fei's sacrificing punch. However, this piece of ancient jade caused his expression to change drastically. Under the gaze of tens of millions of people, a big axe suddenly burst out in front of Han Fei. The axe light, which was hundreds of meters long, had the power to split the sky. In an instant it had reached Ruan Yu. "Hoo!" Explode. 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, 3 ultra-quality battle suits blocked in front of him, but they only lasted for a second before they shattered. Ruan Yu's chi and blood were burning, and the ferocious light on his right glove lit up again. Rumble, within a kilometer, the power of the axe swept across. Some people who were a little closer directly vomited blood. The power of one blow injured hundreds of people. When they looked again, they found that Ruan Yu's entire right arm had disappeared, half of his body was bleeding, the bones of his right chest were cracked, and his flesh and blood were scattered. Han Fei screamed, "Remember, if I want you to die, you must die." Sacrificing punch again. This time, Ruan Yu couldn't block it. If it weren't for the power of the axe just now, he wouldn't have been able to block the sacrificing punch again. However, that axe had directly cut off half of his life. How could he block it again? Rumble, Ruan Yu, together with Han Fei, blasted straight down from the top of the dragon boat, and the two of them directly pierced a big hole in the dragon boat. This punch directly blasted from the upper 5 layers to the bottom 3 layers. Ruan Yu didn't even have a chance to self-destruct, and everything below his head was smashed. Panting, Han Fei quickly poured another mouthful of candle dragon blood into his mouth. He felt that this was the most difficult battle he had ever fought in his life. Han Fei saw a jasper-colored shell slide from Ruan Yu's chest, and he immediately picked it up. "What is this? Wow. Shoot!" Han Fei was shocked. "Is this a sea-swallowing seashell?" He just scanned it and found that there were a huge number of treasures and mid-quality pearls in the entire shell, which filled an area with a radius of a kilometer. No wait. What kind of sea-swallowing seashell has such a large space? Just as Han Fei said coldly, Luo Xiaobai said to him via voice transmission, "Come on. Let's go." Han Fei put away the shell, looked back, and stuffed a ball of poison king into the mouth of Ruan Yu, who was still a little conscious. After doing this, Han Fei jumped to the top of the dragon boat, only to see that Zhang Xuanyu had already prepared the wind god boat. When Han Fei jumped onto the fishing boat, the wind god boat turned into a stream of light and disappeared between heaven and earth. There were hundreds of thousands of people on the entire dragon boat, but none of them dared to stop him. Someone clicked his tongue. How the F***ck could they stop him? Even the hanging fisher was defeated. How could they stop him? Could they even withstand a punch from him? After a while, someone exclaimed, "The hanging fisher is dead." Chapter 539. About 6 hours after Ruan Yu's death, a figure fell from the sky and roared, shocking the entire dragon boat. But at this moment, the dragon boat had been ruined. Without a hanging fisher, the dragon boat guards couldn't resist the looting of hundreds of thousands of people at all. The shop owners in the trading market immediately packed up all their things, closed their businesses, and joined the looting army. When the hidden fisher arrived, the dragon boat was in a mess, and almost everything that could be looted had been looted. And the people on the dragon boat had also reduced from hundreds of thousands to tens of thousands. Half of them were the staff of the dragon boat itself. Next to Ruan Yu's body, the hidden fisher frowned and fiddled with his foot. Humph, the aura of the evil shield. At this moment, Han Fei and the others had already entered a small secret realm that had been excavated in the level 3 fishery. All 5 of them sat paralyzed on the ground, and Han Fei's divine healing technique constantly fell on them. Zhang Xuanyu grinned. "Is this the strength of a hanging fisher? Isn't it too strong?" 5 against 1, with all our secret techniques activated, we actually had to rely on that ancient jade to kill him. Lu Renkuang lay on the ground and howled. No, I feel that my internal organs are dislocated and the backlash is amazing. I'm afraid I won't be able to fight again within 10 days. Xia Xiaochan kicked Lu Renkuang. It shows that you are not fat enough. If you were a little fatter, you could have bounced his attack back. Lu Renkuang rolled his eyes. How fat do I have to be to bounce back the attack of a hanging fisher? Mr. Hexagon's starfish was also lying on the ground, like a starfish that was exhausted. The six-gate formation was broken so easily. How shameless! Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai. Is there a trap in the treasure house? Luo Xiaobai nodded. A serial killing array was set up inside and outside the treasure house, and both my sets of ultra-quality spiritual weapons were destroyed. Wow! Han Fei gasped. 2 sets of ultra-quality spiritual weapons were destroyed, and it must have been very difficult for Luo Xiaobai to break out. Han Fei quickly said, It's okay. You can make more ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Let me show you something good. Everyone looked at Han Fei, only to see him take out a jasper-colored shell. But when they looked at it carefully, it turned out that under the color of the jasper, there was a layer of milky white underlay. Xia Xiaochan took a look. What is this? Lu Renkuang covered his ears. What's wrong? Let me see. Howl Zhang Xuanyu snatched it from Lu Renkuang's hand and froze. Then he was dumbfounded and began to laugh foolishly. Frowning slightly, Luo Xiaobai glanced at it and opened her mouth slightly. After 5 or 6 breaths, he slowly said, This, I'm afraid it's a sun-moon shell. Sun-moon shell? What is that? Everyone looked at Luo Xiaobai. They were a group of bumpkins and were not as knowledgeable as Luo Xiaobai. Luo Xiaobai said, We have to start with the unique talents and attributes of these shells. As we all know, we are all using sea-swallowing seashells, which is also the most common kind of storage space. Sea-swallowing seashells are actually not rare because their lifespan is limited. After they die, the internal space becomes a world of its own. After they are picked up, they become the sea-swallowing seashells we are using now. Luo Xiaobai continued, and above the sea-swallowing seashells, there is another kind of shell called the sun-moon shell. It is said that this kind of shell often floats on the water surface and absorbs the brilliance of the sun and the moon, just like the cultivation techniques we practice. Over time, its texture will become stronger and its lifespan will be extremely long. After they die, they will also form a space of their own, which is naturally much larger than the sea-swallowing seashells. It was the first time that Han Fei and the others had heard of such a saying about the sea-swallowing seashells and sun-moon shells, and they couldn't help but be amazed. Han Fei sighed. This sun-moon shell has a radius of 1 kilometer. I was wondering where the treasures on the dragon boat were hidden. It turns out that he took it with him. Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. No, there should be more than 1 sun-moon shell on the dragon boat, but we didn't find it. Xia Xiaochan also said, I didn't get much from the black market. I only grabbed less than 50 sea-swallowing seashells, but they were quite full. Han Fei nodded. This time we are really rich. But how do we use the money? Lu Renkuang quickly said, Sell it? Didn't the man on the ghost ship leave us his contact information? Sell it to him in exchange for spirit awakening fluid. Han Fei shook his head. You have no idea how much money is in this sun-moon shell. Let alone the sun-moon shell, even the sea-swallowing seashells that Xia Xiaochan grabbed are worth hundreds of kilograms of spirit awakening fluid. This sun-moon shell is too valuable. It is worth at least more than 10,000 kilograms. Luo Xiaobai thought for a moment and said, Let's recover from our injuries first. Han Fei wants you to refine some ultra-quality spiritual weapons and battlesuit. For a period of time, we will definitely be the public enemy of the Level 3 fishery. Whenever we meet a dragon boat, I am afraid that they will hunt us down. Therefore, we must be in our peak state at this moment. Han Fei nodded. No problem. We won't go out for a few days. Let's take a good rest. In fact, Han Fei was also seriously injured. Ruan Yu's mystic divine spike was not weak either. Until now, he still felt that there was a strange force on his shoulder destroying the vitality in his body, but fortunately, the regenerative ability of the indestructible body was also very terrifying, so he was able to recover until now. In the Level 3 fishery, the news about the 5 people of the Thug legend was already known to everyone. Especially the news that the 5 people of the Thug legend killed a hanging fisher, which was simply a fantasy in the eyes of ordinary people. On the side of the 7 major sects of the Thousand Star City, everyone was stunned. Fortunately, they didn't fight with Han Fei at that time. Otherwise, how could they have survived until now? The disciples of the Grand Void Academy couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Ji Wenxuan secretly said to Tianishan, "It's not a shame that we were cheated. That guy is so powerful that he can even kill a peak-level hanging fisher. It's not a big deal that we were cheated." Tianishan couldn't agree more and conveyed this thought to Chu Sun, who nodded faintly in agreement. When Gong Yuehan first heard the news, she was completely stunned. 5 dangling fishers work together to kill a peak-level hanging fisher? Even if there seemed to be some discrepancies in the process, the peak-level hanging fisher was indeed dead, and it was an indisputable fact that the dragon boat was now guarded by a hidden fisher. Gong Yuehan couldn't help but think of Han Fei's appearance when she first met him. He pretended that he couldn't even beat a basalt conch and even made a sneak attack. Senior sister, ah, what? Senior sister, what are you thinking about? No, nothing. Senior sister, are you thinking about that Han Fei? You have been out of sorts since you came out of the steps into the sea. Is it? Damn girl, if you keep talking nonsense I will scratch you to death. When Tengu heard the news, he opened his mouth wide. He was shocked at first, and then he was about to find Han Fei. It took Mu Ling a lot of effort to stop him. Mu Ling said helplessly, "Why do you want to find him now? Since they can kill a hanging fisher and escape calmly, how can it be so easy to find them?" Tengu said with a sullen face, "It must be very dangerous at this moment. These dragon boats must have sent a lot of people. When they attack, there must be more than one hanging fisher." Mu Ling said, "Do you think he is stupid? Han Fei is smarter than you. If there is no way out, do you think he will run to the dragon boat? Even if you go there now, you can't help him. It is said that Han Fei can break an ultra-quality battle suit with one punch. Can you do that?" "No." Tengu replied straightforwardly. Thinking of this, Tengu remembered those rumors. Some people said that Han Fei turned into a raging sea demon and punched a big hole in the whole dragon boat. Some people said that Han Fei's physique was amazing and he could resist the full blow of a hanging fisher and still walk leisurely. Some people said, anyway, there were many rumors. Han Fei had been demonized at this moment, so it was obviously impossible to get answers from others. Tengu couldn't help sighing. He chose the most difficult path. As for the children of the big clans in the Thousand Star City, after hearing the news, they were all dumbfounded. Including Chao Tian, they all became serious. Chao Qiu said that he was going to find Han Fei, but was stopped by Chao Jian. Chao Jian said to Chao Qiu, "You are already friends. If Han Fei becomes a dragon in the future, you can still be friends. But if he has millions of enemies in the future, your relationship with him will end here. Next time, if you meet outside the Level 3 fishery, I won't stop you." When Sun Mu heard this news, he just said lightly, "Let's go back to the city." Yang Diu had vowed to fight Han Fei one-on-one. After hearing the news, he lay on the fishing boat to bask in the sun and flip through the map. As for looking for Han Fei, he felt that only someone sick in the head would look for it. This was the situation in the Level 3 fishery. Little did he know that the situation outside the Level 3 fishery was not much better. For example, Old Bai had already heard the news at this moment. He was very sad. These 5 little bastards are 2F** king troublemakers. I told you to go out for adventures, not to kill dragon boats, okay? Chapter 540. Generally speaking, what happened in the Level 3 fishery would not spread to the towns. The 36 towns deliberately blocked the news in this regard because they were worried that the people in the towns and villages would know too much about the Level 3 fishery, which would be of no benefit to their cultivation. In every school in the town, those teenagers usually yearned for the Level 3 fishery, thinking that there were many resources, it was easy to make money, and they could improve their cultivation quickly, so they yearned for it. But what they didn't know was that there were also many people who died in the Level 3 fishery. Everyone who went to the Level 3 fishery would be taught a lot about the Level 3 fishery before they went there. When Han Fei and the others went there, Wenren Yu and the others also taught them about the Level 3 fishery. However, although few people knew about it, there were still people who knew about it, such as the major chambers of commerce, the teachers in the schools, and the managers in the towns. In a town, it was inevitable that many people would interact with the Level 3 fishery, so the news of what happened in the Level 3 fishery spread in a small circle. And the Thug Academy, a school with only a few people in total, basically couldn't hide the news. When the news that Han Fei and the others had killed a hanging fisher in the Level 3 fishery came back, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were dumbfounded. Chu Jinan froze on the spot. A hanging fisher? Han Fei and the others had been out for more than 8 months. His and Ling Yuan's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Because it was not a 5-person team, Xiao Zhan and Wenren Yu naturally acted as sparring partners every day. At this moment, Chu Jinan had already reached the level of an advanced great fishing master, and Ling Yuan was slightly behind him. She was only an intermediate great fishing master, but she was about to make a breakthrough. They thought that before Han Fei and the others came back, they must break through to the level of peak-level great fishing masters. They couldn't be a burden to their senior brothers and sisters, could they? But it had only been 8 months. We haven't reached the peak of the great fishing master level yet, and we are still far away from becoming dangling fishers. Are you telling me that you have killed a hanging fisher? And he seems to be a peak-level hanging fisher? Ling Yuan took a deep breath. Little Nan, I want to go to the Level 2 fishery. Chu Jinan froze for a moment. But we have only achieved 50 consecutive victories in the arena. We are still far from achieving 100 consecutive victories. Ling Yuan looked at Chu Jinan. There are only 2 of us, and the school hasn't recruited any students. Do you know how difficult it is to win 100 games in a row? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside them. Ling Yuan, don't be too fast. Reducing stress is a good thing for motivation, but you have to act within your means. They didn't go to the Level 2 fishery until they won 100 games in a row. Otherwise, where do you think their combat experience and skills came from? Ling Yuan's face immediately drooped. Miss Wenren. But senior brother and the others were only junior dangling fishers back then, but they could already win 100 games in a row. Nonsense. Wenren Yu said. At that time, not all of them were junior dangling fishers. Besides, realms are not equal to strength. You're still lacking. Go, fight again in the arena today. Yes, teacher. After Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan left, Xiao Zhan appeared and said with a frown, It's really fast. How did those little guys suddenly kill the guardian of the dragon boat? Humph. Old Bai passed by with his hands clasped behind his back and said fiercely, Those little B***stards are just messing around. Fortunately, they went to the ghost ship to find some special means first. Otherwise, the 5 of them might have been killed by the enemy. Wenren Yu wondered, President, which senior brother is in the Level 3 fishery? How do you know what happened in the Level 3 fishery so well? Old Bai said, Guess? Anyway, I have someone who sends me a message every half a month. How can I not know their situation? Xiao Zhan said in surprise. Why didn't I know that we can still get news about the Level 3 fishery now? I specially asked someone to get the wanted list. Now, these 5B asterisk stars are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the top 5 on the wanted list. Wenren Yu said worriedly, Old Bai, should we do something? I told you to place an immortal seal on them. If that doesn't work, you can also use a protective amulet. But you didn't want to give it to us. Now look, we are trembling with fear. Old Bai snorted. That's what incompetent people do. You seem to think it's the same whether you give it or not. In fact, you are totally wrong. Psychologically, it's completely different. Besides, how do you know that I didn't give it to them? Wenren Yu and Xiao Zhan were both stunned. You gave it to them? When did you give it to them? Why don't we know? Old Bai snorted. I won't tell you. The level 3 fishery. On the sea, on an ordinary fishing boat, the 5 of them did not make hot pot again. At this time, a hot pot could really kill them. God knew if passers-by would find them because of the hot pot. Luo Xiaobai said, Our top priority now is to confirm whether we should continue our adventure or go back to the Blue Sea town directly. Isn't there a teleportation array only on the dragon boat? Are we going to sneak onto the dragon boat again? Lu Renquang said, I think we'd better go back. Now they are trying to catch us. It's too dangerous. No, we should go to the ghost ship to sell things first. Han Fei pondered. Selling half of them should be enough. The value of the sun-moon shells we robbed this time is immeasurable. There are nearly 3 billion mid-quality pearls in them, which can be armed to the teeth. Each of us can buy a peak-level dangling fisher ancient jade. If we buy spirit awakening fluid, we can buy 10,000 caddies. Luo Xiaobai said, I don't recommend buying so much. Don't forget that more than 50% of the 1,000-star city's economy comes from the unknown place. And before we came to the level 3 fishery, we didn't know that the prices here are completely different from those in the town. Do you think spirit awakening fluid will be cheaper in the unknown place? Han Fei's eyes lit up. Very likely. Then let's buy less first. Han Fei immediately crushed the jade slip given by the faceless man. After half an hour, a figure suddenly floated on the water. Han Fei and the others were surprised. Where is the boat? The faceless man snickered and said, Does it mean that I have to drive the ship here to make a deal with you? Han Fei was puzzled. They had been together for several months. God knew where the ghost ship was. However, this faceless man came so fast. How did he get here? Before Han Fei thought carefully, he heard the faceless man say, I didn't expect you to really succeed. You are really a young hero. Han Fei thought for a moment and said, 3,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid and 5 peak-level hidden fissures. I don't need the soul crystals. He had only used less than 300 soul crystals last time, and the others hadn't even refined them yet. If they needed more in the future, that would be a matter of the future. As Luo Xiaobai said, the unknown place should be a place richer than the level 3 fishery, and there should be better things there. The reason why they still wanted to buy more was that they hadn't been able to leave the level 3 fishery yet, and the danger was always there. If there was a teleportation array that could take them back immediately, Han Fei and the others would definitely choose to go back directly without making any deals. The faceless man didn't feel excited or surprised at all by this one. For billion deal, but asked leisurely, How long have you been on the sea? Luo Xiaobai frowned. About an hour. What's wrong? The faceless man pondered for a moment and said, Then the price should be raised. You must have robbed a lot of resources from that dragon boat, right? I want half. Wow. Xia Shaochan bared her teeth. Why? Zhang Xuanyu immediately said, Then we can't make a deal. Han Fei frowned. Luo Xiaobai asked, Why? The faceless man said, I thought you should have contacted me dozens of days ago. If you had contacted me immediately and boarded the ghost ship, I wouldn't have asked you for a lot of money. The problem is that you have shown up now. If you had come to me a little later, I wouldn't have been able to save you. Han Fei's face changed. What do you mean? The faceless man laughed. You must not know that there is a divine weapon in the level 3 fishery called the sky-hanging mirror. The power of this mirror is to reflect the entire level 3 fishery. When you were on the dragon boat, you left too many traces. It's too easy to find you. Chapter 541. Wow. Han Fei and the others were all dumbfounded. What the hell is the sky-hanging mirror? Who the hell has ever heard of it? The faceless man smiled and said, You see, in fact, I can take all of your belongings, but the ghost ship has always been fair and just. I'll save you and only charge half of the money. You've made a profit. Han Fei was speechless. Do you know how much half of the money is? Although Han Fei didn't count it, in addition to the 3 billion mid-quality pearls in the Sun Moon shell, the remaining various resources could be worth at least 2 billion or even more. Now you want half of my belongings? So I fought for nothing? The faceless man didn't urge them but just said lightly, You still have about half an hour to think about it. I'm not in a hurry. Han Fei's brain was spinning wildly. Is this faceless man lying to me? But there's no reason. Why would the faceless man lie to me? While emphasizing that he was fair and just, he asked for half of his belongings. But on the other hand, if what the faceless man said was true, then at this moment, even if he asked for all of his belongings, he would still be helping him. But they had nothing to do with this faceless man. Why would he help them? Han Fei thought that if he were this faceless man, it was very likely that he would take action in advance, rob him of all his belongings, and then leave directly. This was just one of Han Fei's questions. In addition, he was still thinking, if he hid in the gate of the hexagon starfish, could he escape this disaster? Han Fei knew that if he hid and forged the universe, he would definitely be able to escape the disaster, but not to mention that the demon purification pot would be exposed. If the sky-hanging mirror was true, he would have to show up. Even if he hid and forged the universe, he couldn't get out of this level 3 fishery. Luo Xiaobai said, I think it's credible. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang were dumbfounded, but after thinking about it, they also nodded surprisingly. They were not idiot. They could clearly distinguish the stakes. They could kill a hanging fisher, but could they kill a hidden fisher? Even if there were no hidden fishers, 1 or 2 hanging fishers might not be able to defeat them. Han Fei looked at the faceless man. Half of it is not a problem, but you saved us. If you just let us stay on the ghost ship, it's meaningless. We have to go out sooner or later and find a teleportation array on the dragon boat. The faceless man chuckled and said, Who told you that only dragon boats have teleportation arrays? Han Fei's face changed. There's one on the Spectre too? Faceless man smiled and said, Don't forget, the ghost ship used to be a dragon ship. Although the teleportation array was damaged, it was not impossible to repair it. Of course, I'll have to pay more. Han Fei was speechless. This guy is so greedy. So, you've already planned this all along. You'll get half of the reward for saving people and half for repairing the teleportation portal. Han Fei gritted his teeth. How much? The faceless man grinned. Your remaining half. I like to leave a fated chance for others. The fated chance is not over, and the fate is not over. Think about it, isn't it quite interesting? Han Fei suddenly felt his hair stand on end. Is this guy out of his mind? You make it sound as if I want to be connected with you. Han Fei tried to suppress the urge to punch him. I'm not angry. Anyway, it's all robbed. I can still keep a quarter of it. Not bad. Suddenly, he saw the faceless man look at the sky. In 3 seconds, settle down quickly. They're coming. They're coming? Han Fei immediately responded, Okay. The faceless man threw out a fishing rod, and the fishing line immediately tied up Han Fei and the others. Don't resist. With that, the faceless man swished into the water, and Han Fei and the others were strung together and submerged into the water at the same time. However, at the moment when Han Fei and the others entered the water, a blue beam of light fell directly on their fishing boat. With a boom, the fishing boat exploded into pieces. At the bottom of the sea, the faceless man pushed with one hand, and a complex and strange pattern appeared, which condensed into a large circular array in a few seconds. After Han Fei saw this large array, he was slightly stunned. Why does this array pattern look a little familiar? But the reality didn't allow Han Fei to think about it at all. In the bottom of the sea, suddenly a golden light seemed to pass through the endless void and suddenly appeared in front of the large array. The faceless man stomped his foot, and a defensive array appeared. Bam! The entire seabed was blasted into a turbid state, the sand and stones within a kilometer were mercilessly crushed, the seawater bulged, and a large pit was sunken under their feet. Han Fei and the others were shocked. This was definitely not an attack at the level of a hanging fissure. Is a hidden fissure here? Faceless, the dragon boat and the ghost boat never interfere with each other. Hand over those little guys, and you and I will live in peace. Otherwise, the array in the faceless man's palm was still stacked, and all kinds of strange patterns were still entangled. He said, I took your money and helped you eliminate disasters. What can you do to me? The next moment, foreshadows swept over at a terrifying speed. The faceless man snorted lightly, and the array in his palm suddenly burst out with a strange light. The faceless man directly pushed Han Fei and the others into it, saying, I told you to make up your mind earlier, but you didn't listen. Fine. I will find you later. Han Fei and the others only felt that their vision went dark, and the next moment they appeared on the surface of the sea in an unknown place. Whoop! The waves splashed, the wind whistled, and everyone's clothes fluttered in the wind. They were still in shock. Lu Renkuang was horrified. We are really being targeted. That sky-hanging mirror is real. The hexagon starfish clawed Lu Renkuang. I'm so scared. No, I can't stay in this sea area. It's too fierce. I have to go somewhere else. Han Fei sneered. If you have the ability, go ahead. Now there is a mirror hanging in the sky. I guarantee that you will be caught before you can run out of the level 3 fishery. At that time, I'm afraid your treasures will be emptied. The hexagon starfish's big eyes narrowed. Then, forget it. Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise, Fei, do you feel that this place seems a little familiar? Han Fei didn't have time to think about this, so he responded casually, it's all King water. I can't feel anything. Zhang Xuanyu said, wind. The sky is just right, but the wind is very strong. This place is close to the abyssal chasm. Han Fei was taken aback. Ck, it seems to make sense. Xia Shaochan said, then what are we waiting for? Let's go in. Otherwise, what if the mirror in the sky finds us? Luo Xiaobai agreed. Let's go in. Although I don't know what the sky-hanging mirror is, it must have something special since it can locate us. I've heard that the abyssal chasm is strange. This place is just right. The wind god boat came out and the 5 of them rushed to the place where the wind was strong. Han Fei said, it's a good deal. I've decided that when I have a chance in the future, I will definitely go to the level 3 fishery, rob a few more dragon boats, and take off that mirror by the way. Xia Shaochan scoffed. Don't brag. If it weren't for that faceless man, we wouldn't even know how to escape. Han Fei snorted. He was thinking that if it weren't for that faceless man, he would have to use the sky-dissecting finger. Less than half an hour after the wind god boat left, a fishing hook rushed at them from the void. With a swish, Han Fei maneuvered the fishing boat to make a half-arc and narrowly avoided the fishing hook. Han Fei shouted, not good, someone is targeting us. Steady, steady. As a result, as they approached the abyssal chasm, a red silhouette often moved in a semi-arc on the surface of the sea, jumping, making rapid turns, and other snake-like movements. Han Fei cursed while controlling the fishing boat. They can't catch up with me, can they? I'm just using the hook and he's not coming. If he can catch up with us, I'll ride backwards. At this moment, the tide on the sea was already surging, and huge waves tens of meters high had been set off on the sea. The wind god boat was like an elf dancing on the sea, and Han Fei said to the others, "When we reach the hurricane area, I won't stop but rush straight in." You. Did you come out like this when you came out? Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. No. When we came out from the water, and there were some accidents and some people died. Han Fei paused for a moment. Really? Suddenly, Lu Renkuang's face changed drastically. Stop talking. Look at the sky. Everyone looked up, only to find that a silver light seemed to shoot down from the sky, and then two hanging fissures emerged from the silver light. Zhang Xuanyu looked at Han Fei. What is your surname? Han Fei screamed as if there was a prawn stuck in his throat. What the F***ck is this? How can hanging fissures be so strong? Luo Xiaobai's face was dark. It should be some kind of array that can directly change positions, but the price is not low. It seems that we have really angered the entire Level 3 fishery. Chapter 542. In the blink of an eye, Han Fei steered the wind god boat at full speed and cursed. So what if they come? No matter how fast a hanging fisher is, can he be faster than a fishing boat? They can't even catch up with an ordinary fishing boat. Han Fei was right. The fishing boat was a bug. No matter how fast a hanging fisher was, it was impossible for him to be faster than a fishing boat unless he launched a fierce attack. However, Han Fei only considered pure speed. In addition to speed, hanging fishers also mastered brilliant fishing skills. 2 fishing hooks were thrown out in the blink of an eye. Han Fei's perception range was large, and as soon as the fishing hooks were thrown out, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers swept out. Not to attack, but to change the landing point of the fishing hook. As long as he made the slightest mistake, he could get out of trouble. Unfortunately, as a hanging fisher, his control ability was also extremely strong. Han Fei's goal failed and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers returned. Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang made a contribution. One used the sky swallowing technique to forcibly attract the fishing hook. The other pointed his finger and vines emerged from the void, flying and entangling to block the 2 fishing hooks. However, the 2 hanging fishers reacted quickly. The fishing boat under their feet appeared and they also chased after them frantically. While chasing, they waved their fishing rods. This lasted for about a quarter of an hour. Under the defense of Lu Renkuang and Luo Xiaobai, Han Fei finally saw the hurricane sweeping into the sky. Han Fei shouted, "Come on, let's hold on for another half an hour." Puff. Lu Renkuang said, "The wind here is too strong. My sky-swallowing technique is about to be affected." Luo Xiaobai said, "Not good, they are attacking from underwater." Han Fei immediately said, "Zhang Xuanyu, you control the wind god boat." Han Fei took out the blue sea wandering dragon rod and shot it directly into the water. Han Fei couldn't use the 1,000 twining technique, so he could only use the flash hook technique and the winding snake technique. The fishing hook competition was about ingenuity, which depended entirely on the dangling fisher's method of controlling the hook. Otherwise, once Han Fei's fishing line was entangled, he would have to either throw away the fishing rod or cut the fishing line. But it would take time to cut the fishing line. Therefore, once the fishing hook competition failed, Han Fei would lose an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Under the water. To be exact, the vines were hanging under the fishing boat. Luo Xiaobai's perception range was not that far, so she could only defend herself passively. After Han Fei used the water vein technique, the fishing hook entered the water, and the fishing line and hook seemed to enter a state of invisibility. Facing the fishing hook that came straight at him, he went up and pulled, directly bending the fishing line of the other party. Behind him, the faces of the 2 hanging fishers changed slightly. What kind of fishing skill is this? I can't find the hook and line at all. Use the double hooks. So, for the first time, Han Fei saw the fishing technique of 1 fishing rod with 2 fishing lines and hooks. One of the hooks twisted and the other shot at the wind god boat. Han Fei sneered. Do you think 2 fishing hooks are enough? You're too naive. Do you think my void fishing technique is useless? At that moment, 1 hook against 4 hooks, the blue sea wandering dragon rod was like a snake attacking, always rushing up and pecking at the 2 hanging fishers behind him, which gave the 2 hanging fishers a headache. Damn dangling fisher, I admit that your combat skills are good and your physique is also very strong, but where the hell did you learn this weird hook technique? Xia Xiaochan was holding the fishing boat and sensing it. She looked at Han Fei in surprise. What kind of hook technique is this? Han Fei could still respond. This is my exclusive hook technique, which combines the water control technique of a spirit gatherer, the winding snake technique, instant hook, and many other hook techniques. Anyway, Xia Xiaochan wasn't a spirit gatherer, so it was easy to fool her with the tricks of a spirit gatherer that she didn't know. The 2 sides fought for almost half an hour. The sky was completely dark, and the wind god boat had completely entered the hurricane sea. Just when everyone thought they were about to rush into the abyssal chasm, the water suddenly exploded, and the wind god boat was directly blasted into the sky. How is it possible? Han Fei was shocked. He had been perceiving that there was no one within a radius of 10,000 meters. But just now, there was clearly an impact of a spiritual energy explosion under the boat. As soon as the wind god boat flew into the sky, Zhang Xuanyu's control was unstable, and there were tornadoes everywhere, so he directly lost control. It was also because of this mistake that the 2 hanging fishers finally hooked the wind god boat. Han Fei immediately pulled out the blood-drinking knife and slashed out, breaking all the 4 fishing hooks. However, it was this momentary change that caused them to have no way to escape. Han Fei didn't ask why. When the wind god boat flew into the sky, he knew that it was too late to say anything. Han Fei roared, "Get ready to fight." Luo Xiaobai took the lead, using the strong wind here to summon large pieces of flower petals, which flew all over the sky. When it fell on the hanging fisher who leaped over, it exploded with a bang. Han Fei shot out the blue sea wandering dragon bow, but behind each spiritual energy arrow, there was a small black ball. Bam, bam, bam. The poisonous Smoke King exploded in the air, but because the wind was too strong and the hanging fisher's reaction speed was too fast, it didn't have any effect. Han Fei stepped on a spiritual array, raised his hands, and a large amount of seawater turned into water knives and attacked them. The 2 hanging fishers didn't care about this at all. The 2 of them were rushing over at an extremely fast speed, and a weird hook appeared in one of their hands and even shot at Han Fei. But they didn't notice the smile on the corner of Han Fei's mouth. It was too easy to disguise this kind of water knife with the infinity water. Han Fei directly threw several kilograms of Poison King into the infinity water. He didn't believe that the hanging fishers could resist the poison of the Poison King. However, the effect of the Poison King wasn't so fast, and the other party was already in front of him. Han Fei roared, and a blazing fist mark filled with flames in the air, bombarded directly at one of them. Zhang Xuanyu followed closely, and the 9-layered waves in furious sea blasted at another hanging fisher, along with Luo Xiaobai's bursting flowers and Lu Renquang's bloodthirsty broadsword. As for Xia Xiaochan, she had already disappeared when the 2 hunters pounced on her. The horror of hunters was not in frontal attacks, but in unexpected attacks, especially in the face of hanging fishers. Flashing directly was tantamount to courting death. The sacrificing punch collided with the hook, and the whole seawater under his feet sunk. Within 100 meters, the wind and waves suddenly stopped, the water splashed, and then exploded. Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood, and was sent flying back twice. And the hanging fisher sneered. "Do you think I will suffer the same defeat as Ruan Yu once?" Under the water, a weird black spider crab suddenly emerged from the water, and stabbed at Han Fei with its sharp claws. Fortunately, he had an ultra-quality battle suit to protect him. Otherwise, Han Fei would have suffered a big loss. Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood and slashed with the draw technique. The knife light rubbed violently against the crab's shell and legs but failed to cut it. Han Fei shouted, "Xiao Bai." On Luo Xiaobai's side, Zhang Xuanyu had just collided with the opponent and was blasted into the water after only 1 second. The bloodthirsty broadsword was directly blocked by the opponent with a big shield. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai's bursting flowers were exploding. Hearing Han Fei's shout, Luo Xiaobai was slightly distracted, and then thousands of vines stretched out from the void and directly dragged Han Fei back. At this moment, the 2 hanging fishers were preparing for the next wave of attacks, but suddenly their faces changed. Stomachache? Oh no, I'm poisoned. They didn't know how this dangling fisher was poisoned. He clearly dodged the Poison King's smoke. Could it be the water knife? The 2 hanging fishers looked at each other and roared at the same time. Both of them took out their long sticks and blasted at Han Fei. The billowing air waves shook the sky directly. Luo Xiaobai was just in front of them, but she was directly blown away by the terrifying sound wave. Lu Renkuang shouted again. Divine Turtle Shield, however, before the shield came out, there was a sudden explosion in the air. Xia Xiaochan was shaken out of the air. Xia Xiaochan was dripping with blood and her eyes were bloodshot, as if she was about to have an attack. She almost struggled to say to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Hunter." At this moment, Han Fei was furious, and a hexagonal object flashed in his hand. At the same time, he shouted at Xia Xiaochan, calm down, don't be impulsive." As soon as he shouted, Han Fei felt a chill all over his body, and a terrifying sharp blade appeared on the back of his neck. Puff! A burst of mystic light, in the roar of Lu Renkuang, and in the flash of Xia Xiaochan, Han Fei's body was directly cut in half. "No. You're courting death." At that moment, a dragon roared, Xia Xiaochan's eyes were bloodshot, and her body was ignited with red flames. She couldn't believe it at all. Han Fei was killed? Xia Xiaochan, who was on the verge of having an attack, went crazy. She fused with the giant arowana in an instant. She was going to kill that hunter. Chapter 543. The hunter smiled at the moment he cut Han Fei into pieces. He thought to himself, even if you are a genius, so what? In the face of absolute strength, you can only die. When he cut Han Fei, he was surprised to find that there was no salt at all. Yes, Han Fei used the mirror of icy salt at the moment Xia Xiaochan was born. It seemed that he was cut, but in fact, he was cut into the sea with his clone. Before the hunter could be happy, a red light appeared beside him in an instant. How is it possible? He was horrified. How could Xia Xiaochan's speed be so fast? He admitted that Xia Xiaochan had an almost perfect hunter talent, but she wasn't so strong just now. Before he could react, Han Fei, who had been cut in half, had already fallen into the sea. Xia Xiaochan's figure flickered crazily as if she didn't exist at all, and the dagger in her hand had attacked the hunter hundreds of times in the blink of an eye. Ho! The dragon's roar reverberated in the hunter's ears, making him bleed from his eyes, nose, mouth, and organs. The hunter was fighting back, spurting out a massive number of poisonous stings, each of which was enough to make a peak-level dangling fisher tremble. But in the hunter's horrified eyes, these poisonous stings all penetrated Xia Xiaochan's body, and none of them could fall on her. How could it be? Is this the secret technique of space? Lu Renkuang's eyes were filled with tears, and he activated the violent war body and the spiritual clam. Then he turned into a fireball and slammed into the hunter. Zhang Xuanyu rushed out of the water. It had only been 1 second since he entered the water. How could Han Fei be dead? He didn't believe it, but he saw half of Han Fei's body in the water. I'll kill your son of AB*TCH. Soul explosion. The hunter didn't expect these people to take the risk, and a burst of spiritual power directly exploded in his head. A dagger with a blazing red light had completely torn his ultra-quality battlesuit, and now it was tearing his contractual spiritual beast apart. Is this a divine dagger? Lu Renkuang, like a fireball, held 2 knives in both hands and stabbed directly at his head. The hexagon starfish was shivering on the boat at the moment. He felt something was wrong. Han Fei was dead? Impossible. He didn't feel anything. But in the blink of an eye, the hexagon starfish didn't have time to say anything. In the sky, the other 2 hanging fishers endured their stomachs and charged at Xia Shaochan and Lu Renkuang. Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Be careful! Han Fei is not dead." Luo Xiaobai maintained her usual calmness. The moment Han Fei was hacked, her heart was indeed chilled. However, everyone forgot that Han Fei had the immortal seal. Would he be that stupid? Did he forget the existence of the immortal seal at that critical moment? No, if the corpse didn't burst out the immortal seal, it was definitely not Han Fei. Luo Xiaobai was 100% sure. Besides, at this moment, she sensed a figure rushing towards her from the vines underwater. Who else could it be but Han Fei? The other 3 had already gone crazy. All Luo Xiaobai could do at the moment was to desperately block the 2 hanging fishers. As a result, a dark blue flower bloomed in the sky. Tens of thousands of thin threads extended from the flower bud. Each thread was dark green and densely covered in poison. The blue flower attempted to envelop the 2 of them. F***ck off. One of them blasted out thousands of rod shadows with his rod, completely ignoring Luo Xiaobai. If 2 peak-level hanging fishers were trapped by a manipulator at the level of a peak-level dangling fisher, it would be a disgrace to all hanging fishers. In fact, Luo Xiaobai's strength was only relative to those of the same level. For example, although Yi Baiyu was extremely fast, he was no match for hanging fishers in terms of physique and combat power. When encountering various kinds of spiritual plants like Luo Xiaobai's, which could poison, paralyze, and create illusions, he might not be able to resist. But hanging fishers were different. They didn't fall for this trick at all and broke through it easily. Bam! At this moment, the water surface broke, and a fish skin map flew into the air, and a big axe directly tore the void, as if a giant holding a big axe was trying to split the sky and the sea. This was given to him by the faceless man on the ghost ship. How could it be? You're not dead? Damn it, it's the god-slaying axe. How could the 2 of them have the time to care about the hunter at this moment? What mattered most was to save their own lives. At that moment, 3 void gates fell from the sky. Han Fei's eyes were piercingly cold. 3 death gates? Bam! 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 The 3 void gates shattered again and again, but the axe didn't stop moving forward. The 2 hanging fishers directly took out 5 or 6 ultra-quality spiritual weapons to protect themselves. But these spiritual weapons were still shattered one after another. In the face of this monstrous power, ultra-quality spiritual weapons could only block a few blows, but they couldn't stop it in the end. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them fell into the hurricane as wide as a kilometer with the axe light, and the terrifying axe light even directly split the hurricane in half. At this moment, Han Fei suddenly realized that spiritual weapons might no longer be the mainstream in the future. Ignoring the 2 of them, Han Fei spread his wings and rushed directly to Xia Shaochan. He saw that the hanging fisher had been stabbed into pieces by her, and Xia Shaochan was holding 2 daggers like blood jade in her hands, which seemed to be F***king divine weapons. Han Fei's eyes flashed, and the 9-star chain shot out, directly buckling Lu Renkuang and Zhang Xuanyu. These 2 idiots! Do you think I will die so easily? At this moment, Lu Renkuang's stomach was slashed by Xia Shaochan. Even with the help of the majestic mystic spell and the violent war body, he was still bleeding. Fortunately, Zhang Xuanyu still had some sense of evasion. At this moment, he was running and was dragged back by Han Fei. Han Fei swallowed. Xia Shaochan was sick, and she was holding a divine weapon. What should he do? Han Fei immediately gritted his teeth, put on an ultra-quality battlesuit, and rushed over with 2 blue sea wandering dragon daggers in his hands, intending to hit Xia Shaochan. However, in less than a minute, The two blue sea wandering dragon daggers were cut to the hilts, and the ultra-quality battle suit on his body was cut all over. Xia Xiaochan, wake up! Hey! Are you trying to kill your husband? Ouch! I'm not dead. My waist. Xia Xiaochan, I am Han Fei. When Han Fei said his name, Xia Xiaochan suddenly paused, with a trace of confusion in her eyes. Seeing that it worked, Han Fei hurriedly said, I am Han Fei. I'm not dead, not dead. The crimson light in Xia Xiaochan's eyes flickered, and she said with difficulty, You are not dead. Yes, 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 I'm not dead, not dead. The crimson light on Xia Xiaochan's body suddenly dimmed, and then she closed her eyes and fell from the sky. Han Fei quickly reached out to pick up Xia Xiaochan and hurriedly cast the divine healing technique on himself. In just a few seconds, he was stabbed 17 times. Fortunately, he had practiced the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies and could control the state of his muscles. He avoided the vital parts of his body. Otherwise, he would have been stabbed to death. At this moment, Han Fei sympathized with the hunter very much. He deserved to be stabbed into a cork. On the fishing boat, Zhang Xuanyu was still in shock. He looked at Han Fei and asked, Fei, you are not dead? Han Fei shrugged. Bullsh *T. Hurry up and steer the fishing boat. Let's go. Seeing that Han Fei was not dead, Lu Renkuang immediately noticed his belly, which was cut from left to right. His ultra-quality battle suit was cut open, and so was his belly. Lu Renkuang wailed, Fei Fei! Help! Help! Han Fei hurriedly cast the divine healing technique on him and roared, Don't move! I told you not to move! Luo Xiaobai half knelt on the deck, panting. Let's go. Those two seem to have survived. Han Fei looked back. Not killed? That King axe didn't kill them? No, there is only one person in the storm. Boom. The thick hurricane seemed to be slapped away by someone, but a faceless man walked out of the storm. The faceless man was weighing 2 swallowing seashells in his hand, seemingly a little satisfied, probably muttering why they were not sun-moon shells. The faceless man stepped to the bow of the wind god boat and shook his head from time to time. 5 fools, knowing that the sky-hanging mirror is hanging high in the sky, you still ran from the sea. Why don't you find a secret realm to hide in? Don't you know how you hid in the past few days? Han Fei grinned and said, We survived, didn't we? By the way, why did you help us? The faceless man shrugged. I am a businessman. Han Fei was pressing one hand on his belly, but he couldn't press it properly because there were too many holes, so he cast the divine healing technique on himself. Han Fei sneered. Businessman? Will a businessman do a losing business? The fish skin map just now is worth at least 200 million, right? The faceless man smiled gloomily. Can 200 million buy your 5 lives? Chapter 544. Han Fei didn't ask what happened to the 2 peak-level hanging fishers. This faceless man was very strong. He was besieged by so many people but could still appear so quickly. Han Fei asked, Who the hell are you? Do you want to ask me questions or save your life first? While talking, the faceless man pushed with one palm, and the weird array just now appeared again. This was obviously a teleportation array. The 5 of them were thrown into the array just now and then suddenly appeared in this abyssal chasm. However, the last time was in a hurry. This time, it took the faceless man a full 3 minutes to completely engrave this array. The faceless man shouted, Let's go! Now that things had developed to this point, Han Fei and the others naturally didn't have any doubts anymore. Strictly speaking, this faceless man was trying to save their lives. Asking for money was most likely a pretense. Otherwise, with the strength of the faceless man, there was no need for him to do that. This was a dark water area. When they appeared from the teleportation array, they saw the behemoth-like ghost ship hovering on the bottom of the sea. In and around the ghost ship, some large squids and octopuses were swimming, and from time to time, some fish, shrimps, and crabs would drill into the holes of the ghost ship. Seeing this scene, Han Fei was naturally very surprised. They had never seen a ship that could sail on the bottom of the sea. Han Fei had seen one, but it was different. This thing was not a submarine. It was still very surprising to see it appear on the bottom of the sea. This time, the entrance of the ghost ship was no longer an ordinary cabin wooden door, but a seal emitting a dim light at the top of the ghost ship. Han Fei walked in front with Xia Xiaochan in his arms, and the hexagon starfish lay on his shoulder. "There is a big seal on this ship." Han Fei was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't take it seriously. The ghost ship was naturally mysterious. Otherwise, it wouldn't have appeared in the level 3 fishery for so long. The wound on Lu Ren's belly was almost healed, but he still stuffed some restorative pills into his mouth from time to time. Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "Senior, will the dragon boats really not find the ghost ship?" The faceless man shrugged. "So what if they find it? I'm doing my business. What does it have to do with them?" As faceless man stepped into the seal, everyone appeared directly inside the cabin. The moment they appeared in the cabin, they found that many faceless people were busy in this huge cabin. Han Fei saw that in the hall that originally had 12 trading halls, the wooden boards that were supposed to be the walls of the ship all opened up to form individual rooms. They looked like shops along the street. Here, a faceless person propped up a pill furnace and threw all kinds of spirit herbs into the furnace. There was a faceless man forging weapons, and there was a giant eel lying at the entrance of the blacksmith shop, seemingly preparing to seal a spirit. Someone was floating in the middle of a puddle that was connected to the ocean. Spiritual chi surged around him, and he seemed to be cultivating. Many people seemed to be sorting out all kinds of treasures, including spiritual fruits, spiritual springs, weapons, jade slips, fish and shrimps, but no mid-quality pearls were found. The moment they landed in the cabin, almost everyone stopped what they were doing, raised their heads, and began to look at them up and down. Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. "What do you mean by showing this to us?" The faceless man smiled. "There is no secret. Why can't I show it to others? Do you think the ghost ship is dead silent when it is not on the sea?" As the faceless man spoke, all the faceless people began to work again. No one said a word of greeting, as if Han Fei and the others didn't exist at all. The faceless man said that there was nothing wrong here, but Han Fei absolutely did not believe him. This place was full of weirdness. The only thing missing was that the words, "I have a secret," were written on their faces. "You're telling me that everything is normal?" Zhang Xuanyu supported Lu Renquang and whispered to him, "I feel that we have walked into a huge conspiracy." Lu Renquang shrugged. "I don't care. Anyway, I'm not dead. That's good." Han Fei and the others followed the faceless man into a separate room. At this moment, Xia Xiaochan in Han Fei's arms woke up and struggled to open her eyes. When she saw Han Fei, Xia Xiaochan was stunned. "Han Fei? Am I dead too?" Han Fei pinched Xia Xiaochan's body and said, "Who told you that I am dead? Do you think I will die so easily? You're so stupid. I just didn't have time to tell you before I was split into the sea." Xia Xiaochan stared at Han Fei for a long time. Wow! Suddenly, Xia Xiaochan burst into tears and hammered Han Fei with her little hand. "I thought you were dead. I saw you being split by someone." Han Fei comforted her. "That's fake. Why don't you touch me? It's real. I'm still alive." Xia Xiaochan reached out and pinched Han Fei's face, and then pinched herself. After a long time, she was sure that Han Fei was not dead, and neither was she. "Hoo!" Xia Xiaochan suddenly burst into fury. "You almost scared me to death. Next time, tell me in advance. You suddenly split into 2 pieces. Who are you trying to scare?" Cough cough. Han Fei blushed slightly because he found that Luo Xiaobai and the others were looking at him differently. Zhang Xuanyu was stunned for a long time. "No, Fei Fei. Xia Xiaochan. When did you two become so close?" Han Fei was holding Xia Xiaochan horizontally at this moment. Xia Xiaochan woke up but didn't come down immediately. Instead, she hammered his chest, pinched his face, and hugged him. This was too King much. Lu Renquang said stupidly, "People who are in love are usually not smart." Han Fei scoffed. *CK off. Luo Xiaobai's eyes were strange, but also full of curiosity. Han Fei said shamelessly, "It's none of your business. Why don't you go and talk to her?" Zhang Xuanyu looked at Luo Xiaobai and said, "Xiaobai, we." Luo Xiaobai said coldly, *CK off. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Hey. Okay." Xia Xiaochan disappeared into Han Fei's arms in a flash, but when she came down, she immediately said in surprise, "Is this the ghost ship?" Then Xia Xiaochan looked at the faceless man, only to find that the faceless man was looking at them with his arms crossed. Xia Xiaochan said in surprise, "Why aren't we wearing masks?" Han Fei thought for a while and didn't know how to explain, so he said, "I'll tell you later. It was this senior who saved us." The faceless man said in a hoarse voice, "You are so young. That's good. Back then, I was also young and… Forget it, why am I telling you this?" Then the faceless man stretched out his hand. "Pay up. Everyone." Zhang Xuanyu immediately said, "Senior, I really don't believe you are doing this for money. Why don't we take off our masks and get to know each other?" The faceless man glanced at him. "Why don't you go to heaven?" Lu Renquang asked, "Senior, are you sure? Then can we still buy things?" The faceless man said lightly, "Of course you can. Pay 5 billion first, if you still have a lot of money left." Puff. Han Fei was speechless. "Did you know that we only have this much money?" The faceless man said, "Don't play tricks. I'm watching you. Don't try to pass off shoddy goods as good ones." What could he do at this point? Of course, he had to pay. Although he risked his life to get the Sun Moon shell, he and the others were also saved by the faceless man. If the faceless man didn't take action, even if they could kill the 3 hanging fishers, could they kill all the hanging fishers in the entire level 3 fishery? So Han Fei took out the Sun Moon shell, sighed, and threw it over. After the faceless man caught the Sun Moon shell, he grunted softly, looked at it for a while, and then laughed. "Not bad, it's a pity that this should only have half of the standing resources of a dragon boat. It should be worth 5 billion. By the way, did you hide it?" Han Fei said helplessly, "Did I have a chance to hide it from the beginning to the end? Besides, this Sun Moon shell is only worth 5 billion? The faceless man sneered. "How much do you think it is? 10 billion? The things here are all commonly used things. Do you think they are very valuable?" Han Fei didn't want to argue. "Fine, whatever you say. I just want to know how much you left for us." The faceless man raised his head slightly, as if thinking. After pondering for a long time, he said, "Building a teleportation array also costs money. You don't have much left. If a dragon boat comes to you, I don't think it will be enough." Puff. Han Fei was dumbfounded. "What the hell? You tell me a Sun Moon shell is not enough? Do you think that money isn't money?" Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang staggered with each other's arms, feeling as if they had been struck by lightning. It was not easy for them to snatch the Sun Moon shell, although they did not snatch it themselves. But it was Han Fei who snatched it, and they could always eat and drink well with him. Besides, just in those 2 battles they had destroyed a lot of ultra-quality spiritual weapons, which added up to probably hundreds of millions. Now even the Sun Moon shell had been taken away. How could they not feel distressed? Although she didn't understand the situation, she couldn't reveal the 50 sea-swallowing seashells she had snatched. Those were the last spoils of war. Chapter 545. It seemed that they couldn't get the Sun Moon shell back, but Han Fei and the others had nothing to say. It was them who went to the ghost ship to buy resources first, robbed the dragon boat, and summoned the faceless man. It seemed that they had done it all. Except for killing 2 hanging fishers and experiencing the near-death crisis, they didn't get any benefits. The faceless man left, leaving this room to Han Fei and the others. Lu Renkuang said, "Oh no, we've suffered a big loss this time." Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help sighing. If the president knows that we have just lost 5 billion yuan, he will probably skin us alive. Luo Xiaobai had no concept of money, so she said calmly, "Hurry up and restore our strength. Before we completely leave the level 3 fishery, we must always maintain our peak state." Han Fei nodded. "Yes, restore our strength and energy." With that said, Han Fei took out a large pot and a barbecue grill. After a while, the 5 of them ate hot pot in the ghost ship. After eating for about 5 minutes, the door suddenly opened and they saw a group of faceless men standing at the door, staring at the barbecue grill and hot pot. Many faceless men were swallowing saliva, some were pulling each other, and some were pushing and yelling. They seemed to want to taste the barbecue and hot pot. Seeing this, Han Fei's expression changed. He pushed the entire barbecue grill to the door with one hand. Anyway, the 5 of them had been exposed and didn't wear masks. It was probably the first time in the history of the ghost ship that a group of people came in without wearing masks. Since the faceless men wouldn't hurt them, it didn't seem to be a big deal to treat them to a barbecue. So, in the blink of an eye, the barbecue grill was empty, and then a group of faceless men scrambled with each other. Humph! With a cold snort, everyone dispersed, leaving only a bare barbecue grill at the door. The faceless man stood at the door. "Do you know the formula for these 2 things?" Han Fei. Before Han Fei agreed, the faceless man said, "In 2 hours the teleportation array will be ready. If there is no accident, I will send you back with the help of the mysterious energy of heaven and earth. The premise is that you have to go to the sea, which will inevitably attract Dragon Boat. You gave me too little money." Han Fei gritted his teeth and said, "We have no money." The faceless man chuckled, as if he didn't believe it, but he didn't ask further. Luo Xiaobai, on the other hand, suddenly said, "Thank you for your help, Senior." The faceless man snorted lightly, turned around, and went out. Luo Xiaobai said, "There's no such thing as a rescue for no reason. Since the specter chose to help us, it must be related to us. This sun-moon shell is worth it." Han Fei nodded. "Okay. Hurry up and recover. Fatty, how's the wound on your stomach?" Lu Renkuang roared. "Xia Shaochan, calm down next time, or we would have all been stabbed to death by you just now." "Xia Shaochan. I chopped it?" Han Fei's face darkened. "No, he did it himself." Without giving Xia Shaochan a chance to think, Han Fei said to her via voice transmission, "Do you have a divine dagger? Why don't I see you using it?" Xia Shaochan was stunned for a moment. "You know?" Xia Shaochan glanced at Lu Renkuang, wondering if she had taken out the divine weapon and chopped them just now. Xia Shaochan nodded. "Yes, but the 2 daggers seem to have been integrated into my arms. I've never summoned them. Did I really use them?" Han Fei rubbed Xia Shaochan's hair and said, "It's okay. Divine weapons are not easy to use. You just use them to stab a hunter to death." Thinking of the hunter, Xia Shaochan's eyes suddenly turned cold. But Xia Shaochan also asked, "Where did you get the clone?" Zhang Xuanyu also asked, "Yes. Han Fei, where did you get the clone? Have you also learned a combat skill like the triple original body?" Han Fei grinned. "It's not the triple original body. It's just an opportunity. I can use the clone 3 times. I've already used it twice this time, so there's only 1 chance left." Luo Xiaobai exclaimed, "Based on the number of times? A limited type divine weapon?" Han Fei nodded. "Let's talk about this later." 2 hours later, the ghost ship went to sea, but the ghost horn didn't sound. It was late at night and the sea breeze blew a salty smell. Han Fei and the others were standing on the top of the ghost ship, where there was a rune array with a radius of about 20 meters, which was now emitting a faint glow. The light became more and more intense, and after a full 10 minutes, a bright moonlight essence fell from the sky and fell on the big array. The faceless man said lightly, The array of heaven and earth is strange and unpredictable. None of you are familiar with it. TSK. Han Fei smiled and said, "Actually, Before Han Fei finished speaking, the faceless man said, "Actually, as a spirit gatherer, you only know how to use spirit gathering arrays. It's really shameful." Han Fei was speechless. Okay, now you are the boss. You have the final say. The faceless man said lightly, "In about a quarter of an hour, you can enter the array by yourself." Han Fei couldn't help asking, "Are you going back now?" The faceless man snorted. "Go back? T. The enemy is coming." Han Fei and the others were shocked. How is it possible? The level 3 fishery is so big and the dragon boats are so slow. How can they come so fast? Even last time, it took them half an hour to arrive, didn't it? The faceless man said gloomily, "The floating island is an array, and so is the level 3 fishery. Under certain circumstances, as long as a certain price is paid, the array will always be activated. Ignorant brats, remember, don't underestimate any place, even ordinary fisheries." While talking, Han Fei saw in the darkness, in the distance, a big brightly lit ship was sailing over. Luo Xiaobai's face changed. "So many." Lu Renquang trembled. "Oh my God! 7, there are 7 of them." The hexagon starfish directly clung to Han Fei's shoulder. At this time, they had to rely on a big shot. Just now, there were only 3 hanging fishers, but they were already so brutal. Now there were 7 King dragon boat. How could they not be happy? Han Fei's eyelids were twitching. How much do the masters of the dragon boats want to kill us? 7 dragon boats came at once? Are they crazy? The faceless man said, "This is not just your business. The ghost ships and the dragon boats have been holding grudges for a long time. You don't have the ability to attract 7 dragon boat." Faceless. From a long distance away, a sound wave rolled over. In the sky, a hidden fisher came over, holding 2 blazing red flame lightsabers in his hands. Following the hidden fisher were 7 hanging fishers, standing on the fishing boats, some holding swords, some stepping on golden wheels, and some carrying machetes on their back. All of them rushed at the ghost ship at the same time. The faceless man laughed. "Boys, it's time to receive our guests. Kill." His words were like the hooves of a golden spear and iron horse trampling on the sea. Weird sounds that sounded like drumming echoed non-stop on the specter. Red and black mystic rays rose up like lasers and enshrouded the entire specter. Han Fei exclaimed, "The killing array of the ghost ship." 2 giant crimson axes had appeared in the faceless man's hands. He leaped into the sky and grinned. 9 nether killing array. At the same time, the 5 of them saw faceless men appear from both sides one after another and land on the top floor. Among them, a few faceless men flew directly into the air and joined forces to attack the hanging fishers. Hanging fishers? Han Fei found that these people were also hanging fishers, but judging from their auras, these people seemed to be junior or intermediate hanging fishers at most. Then, Han Fei saw in the sky tens of thousands of fishing boats flying towards the ghost ship. Those people seemed to be just a team of peak-level dangling fishers. Gulp. Lu Renquang swallowed. "We seem to have made a big deal out of this." Han Fei was also dumbfounded. "The point is, did we really cause this? Are we going to rely on the faceless men to fight this battle?" Luo Xiaobai frowned. "It's useless for us to go up. I'm afraid this is indeed a war between the dragon boats and the ghost ship." As soon as Luo Xiaobai said so, the hidden fisher said, "Faceless, let's see how you resist this time. Ha! I'll just hack you to death." After that, an axe light hung upside down in the sky, and the billowing flames were thousands of meters long. The hidden fisher's flame swords directly burned through half of the sky, as if the whole sky was on fire, and the blazing flames almost blinded the eyes of others. Zhang Xuanyu and the others couldn't help but cover their eyes. Only Han Fei, who was burned in the abyssal chasm, had already adapted to this kind of heat. Clang! Han Fei's eyes were bloodshot, and he saw the faceless man cut the hidden fissure from the sky to the sea. Below the two, the seawater separated, leaving a long gully that was hundreds of meters deep. Shoot!